I'm Devin Dampier. The Lobo football team is going through some changes, but we're here to stay.
We'll put in the work on the field and in the weight room, but we'll need your help off the field.
505 Sports Venture is leading the charge in the NIL space.
And you can be part of it.
Shorty, she better than all my intentions. Locked in, shorty, you got my attention. See your baby, I give you the business. Touchdown and pay you a visit.
If you're drunk, blasted,
Intoxicated.
rip, plastered, taint, destroyed, bruh. If you're like this, you shouldn't be driving.
Now,
It's 7 a.m.
we would like to thank the following sponsors for making this drop
Voted the best sports show in New Mexico
for 5 years running. It's the OD and the AM with Jeff Symbieta and JJ Bond.
Well, it is depth chart season, 1 day closer to kickoff of the 2024 football season for UNM, and we have ourselves a depth chart. It's first look at the starters for Bronco Mendenhall on offense and defense. And yesterday, you heard Bronco Mendenhall right here on the opening drive. He had his press conference of game week. And what are some of the things we can take away from the first depth chart of the season? As the Lobos host the Montana State Bobcats on Saturday. We'll dissect that. Also, get into what Bronco Mendenhall said, well, here on the opening drive, but then how he phrased it a little bit later in the day when it comes to the athletic director search at the University of New Mexico. Good Tuesday morning, everyone. Welcome in. It's another fantastic show for you today as the countdown continues to kick off. 0 week right here in Albuquerque. One of 4 college football games on Saturday happen out there at University Stadium. 2 o'clock kickoff. Listen to the game over on News Radio KKOB. 1 p.m. pregame starts with Robert Portnoy and Dontrell Moore. We'll also dive more into the vibe around the athletic department and the potential search ahead with Jeff Grammer of the Albuquerque Journal at 9:15. He had a story with quotes not just from what Bronco Mendenhall said yesterday, but Richard Pitino, because those were the 2 marquee hires coaching-wise for Eddie Nunez, who is now the new athletic director at Houston. Well, what it do, and we'll welcome in JJ Buck. Got Bobcat Hole in the town. Got Adrian Provy Networks. Got Cy Riley once again hopping on the show with us. Former Lobo linebacker, played 4 years, and he is the man to talk about this depth chart. Good morning, Cy. What's up, man? How you doing?
Good morning, JJ. How you doing, man? I'm doing great.
Doing good, man. Ready to go. And looking at the depth chart, and coaches love to keep this stuff quiet. It is their favorite thing to do, is not put out a piece of paper with y'all's names on it, telling you who might start, who might be the backup. We got the first depth chart of the season yesterday. A couple of things that stand out to me. There are 12 oars listed, whether that is between starters or backups.
Yeah.
So that's, Bronco Mendenhall discussed it yesterday in his press conference. You're saying he credits that to the competition on the roster, which is fair, but I think some of that too is coaches just love to play with depth charts when they put them out there for opposing coaches and teams to look at. But I think there are some things that are going to stand out to people, not necessarily with the starters, but with the backups. And I do want to start at the quarterback position. We've known since the end of last season, as long as Devin Dampier stayed at New Mexico, this was going to be his job to lose regardless of who came in based on his talent and potential. But I think a lot of fans are going to be interested in and surprised by the fact that listed as the true backup quarterback by himself right now is the one and only Isaiah Chavez, the legend that was made at the end of the 2020 season. The up and down ride it's been for Isaiah Chavez, from getting hurt, from falling down the depth chart, from even practicing as a long snapper at times. He goes into this year as the backup quarterback to Devin Dampier. And I know you were alongside Chavez all those years. I know it's not the starter, but when you see him as the true backup quarterback, you've been in games where he's helped you guys win. You've heard this community clamoring for Isaiah Chavez. Why isn't he playing more? Why isn't he the starting quarterback? The roller coaster ride that is Isaiah Chavez. What do you make of him being right now the true backup listed as QB2 for the Lobos?
I mean, I'm super ecstatic because, I mean, obviously you go back to those 2 games at the end of my freshman season when we were in Las Vegas against Wyoming, against Fresno State, and you kind of saw the talent that he displayed, and he never really had that chance to do it again over the course of his time here, whether that be injuries, whether that just be him coming in late during games when it didn't matter necessarily. So, no, I'm super ecstatic for Zay. You know, he's definitely earned it. I always see the hard work that he's put in, whether that be, you know, in the classroom, off the field, even in Yaffle, you know, him being a coach in the Yaffle Football League. So, yeah, I mean, he's always been there, scratching, knocking at the door, ready to get his shot. And, you know, if Devin decides to, or I shouldn't say decide, but if Devin gets hurt, you know, I'm very happy that Isaiah would be back there, number 16.
Yeah, and you look at what we've seen with Lobo football over the last few years, and injuries happen. It's part of the game. Sometimes things don't quite line up. I think back to the Terry Wilson year where you had a player from Kentucky who comes in and he won games in the SEC. So obviously there was talent there, but then you look at the offense, and the offensive line really struggled, really wasn't able to back him up. Over the last 4 years, you on the field now coming into this year, it really feels like this is the first time a team has at least confidence in knowing that from day one, like Devin Dampier is the quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Do you get that sense of just with this team being able to carry over someone from last year? There's no kind of, I don't know about this. Maybe this is something we could be looking at. It feels like, though, at least right now, before they take the field on Saturday, things are aligning well offensively.
No, we definitely talked about it before, like the consistency of having a quarterback the whole year and then carrying them into the offseason. We've always been the team where, okay, let's bring somebody in, you know, whether that be a Terry Wilson, a Miles Kendricks, Dylan Hopkins. Like, we're always bringing a talent in, but to be able to now have 2 homegrown talents in Devin and Zay, being able to develop guys, develop quarterbacks, and let them showcase what it's like to be underneath the Lobo shield for a long period of time. So, yeah, we can get it done, and we're going to get it done with Devin or Zay if Devin gets hurt. And, you know, it's just one of those things that everybody will be looking forward to and tuning in to see not only the explosive plays that you can get from Devin, but if he gets hurt, you know, the legend that Isaiah Chavez is.
We've discussed most of the names that we know are going to play at wide receiver, but looking at the first depth chart for the Lobos that they released yesterday, there are 5 players in bold letters listed as starting wide receivers. You have Caleb Medford, Luke Wysong, Nick Trujillo, Sean Miller, and Ryan Davis. So Trujillo, Medford listed at the X wide receiver, got Luke Wysong at the Y, and Z is the Illinois transfer Sean Miller or Ryan Davis, who came in last year, and Bronco Mendenhall was mentioning that Davis did have a really good camp. I know we've touched on it a little bit. Nick Trujillo last year flashed in practice, the redshirt freshman getting his opportunity. How do you feel about the mix of experience? We've got guys that have kind of been there, done that, from Caleb Medford, Luke Wysong, Ryan Davis, to then seeing Nick Trujillo and Sean Miller, a sophomore, who looks to get more work at transferring to New Mexico.
I mean, we all kind of expected this, you know, whether that be them going out there with Nick, Caleb, and Luke, or, you know, 2 of the 3. Sean Miller definitely being in the mix, Ryan Davis, my old dude from UAB. So, yeah, I mean, it's a very deep wide receiver room. We've talked about it. I think the one name that's interesting is to have Javen Jacobs underneath Luke Wysong as a wide receiver in a wide receiver role instead of the running back room. So again, it's always going to be, you know, one of those things with these depth charts where it's like, okay, is this really what's going to happen, or, you know, are we just playing the other coaches? But man, the wide receiver room is deep. I expect all 5 of those guys, Nick, Caleb, Luke, Sean, and Ryan Davis, to see action, a lot of action on the field on Saturday, and make impact plays.
Yeah, there's another good pull from the depth chart. You look at Javen Jacobs, number 21, listed as a wide receiver, and he's been someone that we've kind of just thrown into the mix leading up to this season at the depth at running back. And there's 3 running backs listed in bold letters. It's Eli Sanders or Query Rogers or Andrew Henry. And we were kind of just assuming that Javen Jacobs was going to be in that mix. And you look at what Jacobs, the hype of just a transfer coming in, and Jacobs' transfer from Arizona State. I think it's just about getting playmakers on the field. And I think Bronco Mendenhall's talked about it. We've heard it a little bit from offense coordinator Jason Beck when it comes to the running back position. They weren't necessarily focused on finding a bell cow running back, really, as opposed to making sure they get those guys on the field. But I think the one name that would be a little bit surprising for people, just the way that we've discussed it, would probably be Rodgers as one of those starting running backs. But it feels like that's an area of hype that is going to be backed up by the fact that coaches believe they can get up to 4 of those guys on the football field.
Yeah, it's good to have depth problems. It's good to have belief in your guys, a multitude of guys to go out and get the job done. I know Coach talked about it yesterday when it comes to making adjustments. You look at, is it the scheme or is it the players that are making the scheme look inconsistent? So, if somebody's not doing the right job, or misses a block, or fumbles the ball, or goes inside when he's supposed to go outside, or whatever the case may be, if you are able to plug in another person right into that spot and carry the torch that these coaches believe that these guys can do, then man, it's good. It's a good problem to have.
505-246-0610. That's the Sports Animal hotline and text line for you this morning. Coming up at 9:15, we'll talk with Jeff Grammer of the Albuquerque Journal. He's got a story out this morning with some of the comments from the coaches around UNM in regards to the search for a new athletic director. And Bronco Mendenhall, his tone changed a little bit from when we asked him yesterday on the opening drive about his thoughts on the AD position to what he said at his press conference at noon. But I still think it's very impactful, because when it comes to college athletics these days and where football sits in terms of pushing these universities forward, building these conferences, you need to have alignment with your athletic director and your head football coach. We'll talk with Jeff Grammer about that coming up at 9:15. But we'll continue depth chart season, looking at the first 2 deep for our Lobo football, switching over to the defense. Coming up next as the Lobos get ready for a 0-week contest against Montana State, a tough one that they're not overlooking, and Bronco Mendenhall knows how challenging an FCS opponent can be. And he was asked about that yesterday. His first game at Virginia as head coach, he lost to Richmond. So he knows that these teams can come in and get you. So we'll focus on the defense. Coming next, we got Cy Riley, former Lobo linebacker, holding it down with us. It is the opening drive here on 95.9 FM, AM 610, the Sports Animal.
When you have sports mixed with your pop culture.
We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible.
Hi, I'm Steve Stucker here for Dr. Robert Melendez and the Juliet Eye Institute. You may remember me like this, but no more. The glasses are gone. I tossed them months ago because of a brand new procedure from Dr. Melendez known as RLE, Refractive Lens Exchange. The latest technology, the best eyesight I've ever had in my life, and you can check it out by clicking on the link in the description right here.
International Protective Services is a proud supporter of ProView Sports and New Mexico Youth Athletics. IPS provides residential and commercial security services in the Albuquerque metro area. For more info, please call 505-897-2420 or visit internationalprotectiveservice.com.
What's going on, Lobo Nation? Ja'Cory Krosky-Mir here.
And I'm Devin Dampier. The Lobo football team is going through some changes, but we're here to stay.
We'll put in the work on the field and in the weight room, but we'll need your help off the field.
505 Sports Venture is leading the charge in the NIL space.
And you can be part of it.
Shawty, she better than all my intentions. Light-skinned shorty, you got my attention. CEO, baby, I get you the business. Touchdown and pay you a visit.
What's going on?
Who are you guys?
Well, sir, I'm going to pick you up at the DWI checkpoint for drunk driving.
And that's when I have to come down to get you out of jail.
Well, temporarily. I'm Judge Torres. They call him the Hammer. Hey, hot off the presses, champ.
I'm real proud of you, honey.
Way to make them happy back home, Captain.
Who's that?
That's your new buddy in jail.
Young driver, this one. Hard to get her out. She'd been drinking. This one. Both of them gone. They'd been drinking, and he drove clear off the road. This was my family. Drunk driver hit us. And my wife and our daughter, they didn't make it.
Hey, look! It's Dwight Goodman!
Boom! This place is hot. Let's see if anyone needs my help. How about I drive you madman home, huh?
I got this, Dwight. I'm the designated driver. Boom.
Sweet.
Does anyone need Dwight's help getting home tonight?
No thanks, Romeo. I've got a taxi all lined up.
Drive safe, Dwight.
Boom! Boom!
These days, it's important to know people and businesses you can trust. There's a lot of places where you can buy a vehicle, but there's only a few local dealerships where you'll find honest people who have your best interests in mind. And Fiesta Kia is one of them. We've been helping our neighbors save money and drive dependable cars for years, and we'd love to help you. With new Kias arriving daily, you'll love our selection and the peace of mind you'll get driving a Kia from Fiesta. So stop by and see us today at Fiesta Kia on Lomas, or just start driving now at fiestakia.com.
And Robert Fortnite with special guests out at San Diego Resort and Casino, 6 to 7 o'clock, right here on The Sports Animal. A great place to have at San Diego Resort and Casino. They got the sports bar rocking out there. Maybe go hit some balls on the range beforehand. It's just a wonderful place to hang out and catch Lobo Talk there this season and live tonight right here on The Sports Animal, 6 to 7 o'clock. And that means the Isotopes baseball, as they get their series going on the road in Round Rock. Will be over on 94.5 The Pit. You can catch Josh Shushan and the Topes over there tonight, 5:45 pregame. So Topes on The Pit, 94.5 FM, and Lobo Talk right here on The Sports Animal, 6 to 7 o'clock. Depth chart season. We're diving in to the first official depth chart released by the Lobos yesterday, as it was 0-week talking season. Head coach Bronco Mendenhall joined us yesterday for our weekly conversations on Monday, getting that going. Met with the media at noon. We were just breaking down what we saw on the offense, pointing out some of the very interesting things when it comes to the backups across the board. And now you look at defensively. New system for the Lobos. Defense reporter Nick Howell, probably going to see more 4 down linemen. When you look at the way it's set up, a 4-2-5, so 4 down linemen, 2 linebackers, 5 players in the secondary. And one of the things that jumps out to me, it's J.J. Buck joined by Cy Riley, who just wrapped up playing 4 years linebacker at the University of New Mexico. He knows most of these guys very well on and off the field. Is the potential depth really up front in the players that are going to be playing? When you look at Gabe Lopez, Kyler Drake, Tyler Keeney listed, and then Okiki, I am going to have to look up how to pronounce his last name as the other starter. I'm going to work on it. I'll be ready for Saturday. I'm going to work on it. But the potential really right in the middle when I look at Kyler Drake, Tyler Keeney listed as the starting defensive tackles, and then Bryce Santana and the transfer, Garrison Walker backing those guys up, it feels like UNM could be pretty strong right up there, up the middle in that front four.
No, I mean, especially with this type of defense, they're running the 4-2-5, getting into 4-3 packages at times. Like, it will be the priority for these bigger defensive linemen to be able to muck things up, to be able to eliminate gaps. Obviously Gabe playing a edge rush position in the will, being able for him to just strictly work on his pass rush moves, be able to get into his pass rush bag is critical. Kyler, Tyler, Keeney, Bryce Santana, Garrison Walker, all four of them will be able to get into the mix of things, work the guards, work the center at times, be able to get into their twists and, all the different defensive schemes that coach is going to be running. And then Okiki at the same thing for him, be able to get into his rush bag. So we should definitely have more pass rush pressure on the quarterback this year. I think Global fans can expect that. But, with those four guys in the middle, I'm talking about Drake, Santana, Keeney, and Walker, they're going to be the big four for the entire defense to see if this machine is well and pumped with oil.
Yeah, and I thought that was a bit of a change because what we've seen the last few years from Rocky Long, Denning is also in the 3-3-5. It was a bit smaller. Defensive linemen trying to be quicker, get off the blocks, different gap responsibilities. And now these guys had to put on some weight strength. I know you were talking a little bit too. Bryce Santana is a guy that just was blowing things out in terms of just setting marks in the weight room. And how do you think, do you think that better fits some of the strength of those guys going in this season?
Absolutely, because again, when you're prioritizing, gap control and being able to muck things up with the interior linemen, like you're going to need weight. Bryce finally, eclipsed 300 for most of his career. He was at 285, 290. Kyler Drake sitting at 285. He's normally been at 265, 270, 275. Keeney, same thing. And we used to all stand on the scales at the same time. And, there were just times where they couldn't get their weight up but again, that goes back to the strength training and things that Coach Blackjack's been doing, working in Coach Mendenhall's system. So, yeah, you're definitely going to see an improved defensive lineman. They're going to be bigger, but that doesn't mean that they're not going to be faster. Just because you add a few more pounds doesn't mean that you can't move. So, yeah, I'm definitely excited for them. And then that also bodes well when it comes to injury purposes. When you're a little bit stronger, when you're a little bit heavier, you can kind of take a little bit more of a beating. So, yeah, they'll be fine.
And when you look at the linebackers, you don't see Cy Riley listed out there anymore, but you got Jaden Wilson, a sophomore, getting the call at the Mike linebacker. He's backed up by the transfer, Tariq Austin Cave. And then it's between Dimitri Johnson and Randolph Kapai at the buck spot. So those are three guys, Wilson, Johnson, and Kapai, listed as starters. What do you make of the new responsibilities for the linebackers? Yeah,
Jaden is a pleasant surprise. Sophomore last year in Coach G's defensive system. He couldn't get the packages together, but it's great to see a guy who has his first offseason with a new coaching staff be able to find his way into the mix and earn a starting position spot at the Mike. And then Dimitri and Randolph, them fighting for it, I think just bodes well for competition when you have somebody who is fighting, two people fighting for the same spot, who want to play on Saturdays, who want to start, most importantly, but also just want to win football games. So I know they'll be fighting out. Mahalis, backing them up, probably backing up both positions. So because he's so smart, him being a transfer last year, being able to, live life with him and, be good friends with all of these guys. So, yeah, I think the linebacker room, definitely I'm not in there, but, they'll be better, they'll be stronger, they'll be faster, they'll be smarter. So, I look forward to watching them play.
Now, when it comes to secondary, as we're breaking down the Lobos' first official depth chart of the season that came out yesterday, talked offense earlier, looking at the defense. A notable name is Tavion Combs. He's not on this depth chart right now, and he's been battling injury, trying to get back. But I do think that there's some excitement in the secondary. I'm really interested to see Noah Avenger come in and see how he works in this defense. Avenger began his career at San Diego State, had some really good years with the Aztecs, did not play last year due to injury. He comes in, he's going to be one of the starting secondary pieces. You got Bryson Taylor, Christian Ellis, Nola Pola Gates, and Bobby Arnold listed as starters in the secondary. And you look at that group, there's some returning players. There's some players looking to take a step forward. What stands out to you when you look at that secondary?
Yeah, Bryson Taylor. Anybody knows Bryson Taylor? Bryson likes to eat. We went to Papa Do's, and it seemed like this dude ordered everything off the menu, but he actually could because we was on Coach Reffett's tab. So, yeah, Bryson, finally working his way. He's played a little bit last year, so, it'll be good for him to get this starting spot. Christian Ellis being backed up by Derek Moore is no surprise. I thought both of them would find their way on the field together, but, Christian is one of those guys who's a hard-nosed tackler, who can good ball player, good in space. So, definitely no surprise for him starting. I think the pleasant surprise for me is seeing Murph as the backup to Noah Avenger, who's the San Diego State transfer. So, being able to get a lot of, depth in the secondary with you still got Noah who's starting, you got Bobby Arnold who's starting. So being able to get a lot of depth, a lot of experience from these guys in the DB room, in the secondary room, I think that bodes well. Because, again, I think the most important position, the most important aspect of this defense that's going to get us going is the defensive line. And if you can muck up the run, if you can stop teams from running the ball, it's going to place ownership onto the DBs. So it's good to have a lot of guys with experience back there because they're going to be the ones who we want the teams to start testing.
505-246-0610 Sports Animal Hotline and text line for you this morning. So it is the offense and defensive too deep for the Lobos as they get ready to take on Montana State on Saturday. 2 o'clock kickoff out there at University Stadium. And we'll dive more into this game as we go along. But when we get back on the other side, we were discussing yesterday where UNM is as a whole when it comes to an athletic department. What kind of job is it? Well, there was a story that came out that ranked the 70 most influential people when it comes to name, image, and likeness right now in college athletics. And one of those people is right here in New Mexico. So what does that mean looking at the potential that UNM has in this landscape? We will dive into that next. It's Opening Drive here on 95.9 FM, AM 610, the Sports Animal.
This report is brought to you by Chili Traditions.
We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible.
Teenagers love a party, especially during prom and graduation season. Often, alcohol is involved. Some parents think that hosting a party with alcohol in their home will keep the kids safe, but it's wrong and it's illegal. As a parent, to allow your teenagers' underage friends to consume alcohol on your property is a felony. Parents who host lose the most. Don't be a party to teenage drinking.
This is a program of the Drug Free Action Alliance. For more information, go to burnco.gov/do-not-host.
For your surprisingly great rates, contact your local State Farm agent today.
If you want the real deal, call State Farm agent Marty Size in Albuquerque today.
Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Don't sacrifice quality and flavor when you're in a hurry. Golden Pride offers ribs, fried chicken,
red and green chili breakfast burritos, and Frontier Sweet Rolls. 4 great locations, or visit us online at goldenprideabq.com. Golden Pride Barbecue Chicken and Ribs are proud supporters of ProView Sports.
We aren't all born with the same opportunities. But it's the people who care that change everything.
Get ready, Sprout, get ready!
My coach. My teacher. My older sisters. My grandma. My brother. My tutor. My dad and my mom.
As New Mexicans, it's up to all of us to do our part.
So that no child goes without love.
And no family has to do it all on their own.
They're all our children. Every single person is called to make a difference in the life of a child.
It's up to all of us to do our part.
To pull together.
Pull together.
Pull together.
To make New Mexico the best place to be a kid.
We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible. International Protective Services is a proud supporter of ProView Sports and New Mexico Youth Athletics. IPS provides residential and commercial security services in the Albuquerque metro area. For more info, please call 505-897-2420 or visit internationalprotectiveservice.com.
Hi, my name is Daniel Chavez, and this is my business partner, David Chavez. We are the owners of Indeed Safety. Indeed Safety is a local safety consulting company helping our clients with their safety needs for their projects.
One of the things we pride ourselves as a construction safety company is helping our men and women in construction get home safe every day to their families. Indeed Safety is a proud supporter of ProView Network.
Young driver, this one. Hard to get her out. She'd been drinking. This one. Both of them gone. They'd been drinking, and he drove clear off the road. This was my family. Drunk driver hit us. And my wife and our daughter, they didn't make it.
Don't sacrifice quality and flavor when you're in a hurry. Golden Pride offers ribs, fried chicken, red and green chili breakfast burritos, and Frontier Sweet Rolls.
President Stokes, the search committee, the regents, and they all got to get on the same page and figure it out. Then you have the in-house candidates for UNM. And looking at the Lobos versus their conference opponents, that's first. How do you match up against the facilities budgets of your direct peers? Then it's the overall landscape of Division I athletics. What does it look like in the football landscape? And of course, the men's basketball landscape, which right now is the biggest thing that has the people buzzing for Lobo athletics, the hope for the future, Bronco Mendenhall, and football. But then it's playing the game, the transfer portal, name, image, and likeness. Do you have enough to compete, to get players to your university, to develop and keep them as Lobos? It's the opening drive here on 95.9 FM, AM 610, The Sports Animal. JJ Buck, joined by Cy Riley, former Lobo linebacker, just wrapped up playing 4 years at the University of New Mexico. And as we discuss what type of job UNM is right now in the sports landscape, there was a story that came out yesterday by Silver Waves Media, and they spent a couple months putting together a list of who they believe are some of the most impactful figures in the name, image, and likeness game. And these are everyone from people who have started up agencies to people that are on staff at some high-profile institutions, but they found the 70 most influential people in the NIL space. One of those people was Kurt Roth, and Kurt Roth is the head of 505 Sports Venture Foundation. That is the NIL collective that works with the University of New Mexico. And Kurt Roth has been all in himself, and he's talked about he wants to try to raise about $3.5 million per year for the collective. And I know it's been hyper focused on men's basketball, but you're then from that, you see the trickle down effect to football, to women's basketball, the other sports on the University of New Mexico. No collective, especially at this level, they're really only going to be able to do one thing at a high level, and that so far has been men's basketball, and it is paid off with Richard Pitino and that team getting to the NCAA tournament next year. And Kurt, as he continues to grow it, he would like to do more, but that's also the challenge in this. We do look at what we've seen from the Lobo Club the last 2 years. Those donations have been solid, been higher than they have been in the past. The Cherry and Silver Gala last Saturday, they still raised over $1 million. I believe it was the first time they eclipsed the $1 million mark, and that was with all the news coming down on Friday. Eddie Nunez leaving the athletic department, but people still all in. And, Cy, this is, I understand a challenge just from a fan. When we're sitting here and you just, some fans just want to be able to buy their season tickets and go to a game. But then you're asking, a certain amount, hey, donate to the Lobo Club. Hey, there's this gala we're doing, give some more money. Oh, don't forget about the NIL collective. So I know from a fan standpoint, your head can start spinning. It can be frustrating. You're like, well, what am I supposed to do? Can I just buy tickets to show up to the game? Absolutely. Start there. Do what you can. But seeing Kurt Roth listed on this list, it does go back to the conversation we were having, that in terms of the Lobos in the Mountain West Conference, where they sit in the NIL game, they have a pretty good guy on their side. But I got to believe the challenge is when you're the guys that are not getting the name, image, and likeness money. Because right now you look at Lobo football and they can't play the game the same way as some of these other schools where you sit there and say, every one of you gets X amount of money. It's a positive that he's been impactful enough that this outside company putting together this list puts him on there. That is a positive for UNM. But as a former student athlete, as someone that was playing as all this stuff was taken off, transfer portal, name, image, and likeness, how does something like this hit you? Do you look at it from a standpoint and maybe there's some frustration because it didn't quite get to football yet, or do you see this as a positive that UNM can continue to build on with their relationship with the collective?
Well, no, I definitely see it as a positive for the university. Again, you want to have somebody who has the finances and the NIL collective to, fund the basketball program, to fund these, to fund the football players, to do all of these impactful things within the community so that, again, the Lobos can compete on a national stage. But as a, student athlete, I've always felt that we deserve to make money, whether that, and not just being from, collectives, but also coming from the NCAA. They make so much money off of student athletes. If we decided to, not play or do things a certain type of way, there's consequences on their end. So, yeah, I definitely think that everything that Kurt Roth has done for New Mexico, for UNM in the NIL space is definitely, felt and impactful towards the players, for the fans and everything in that aspect. And he deserved to be named to this list. But, when it comes to student athletes, we kind of typically lean more to wanting to see money come from the NCAA, not just all of these collectives, themselves leaving it up to the schools. Personally, I feel like it should come from the top down.
And you look at it right now, a big question is, who is the NCAA guy? Who's making these decisions with all the court battles that are going on? The House settlement, which I'm sure people have heard of but don't really know about, and that's goes back to payments directly to student athletes, even some what I'm blanking on the word, past payments that are going to go out to student athletes over the last few years. So yeah, there's all these moving pieces, and so what you're saying is you'd like to see maybe even just like a baseline, like a higher stipend sort of thing for student athletes across the board, and then potentially the NIL collective could be
an added bonus,
or
yeah,
an added bonus in that. And with that too, that comes this discussion of employees? So are you signing, hey, just your scholarship to be a student athlete, or is it separate? Do you sign, a 1-year contract on NIL money? And so this is where we're trying to figure out what space you're going in. Is, yes, you're getting compensation, but what does that mean? Does that mean that it's just like a 1-year NIL deal? Do they want to sign you to a multi-year deal for a school when we know that student athlete scholarships can be one and done? At times, coaches can pull those. And yes, there's mobility both ways. And so you're figuring out, where is it going to go? What's it all going to mean? And there was something usually, when Mike Gundy, the head coach of Oklahoma State, is talking, sometimes you can just go, all right, Mike, we get it. You've been there, done that, with this, all the stuff that was happening with this running back over the summer. But he did say something yesterday that I agree with. And it goes in line with having this conversation of people constantly talking about money, people constantly in the ears of student athletes. Mike Gundy said that you need to stop calling it. Then once the season starts, quote, I told the players, there's no negotiating now. Portal's over, all negotiations history. Now we're playing football, just coaching and playing football. He added, the business side of what we do now is we have to have those conversations with them. But he said, quote, tell your agent to quit calling us and asking for more money. It's non-negotiable now. Start again in December. And this is what we kind of see in this space where there's not a lot of rules that, you get into the season and you say, hey, let's shift our mindset. And Mike Gundy's like, bro, like, all right, you're the start on the depth chart. It doesn't mean we're going to go renegotiate your NIL deal. How does it land for you of how NIL deals should be handled, and should you be able to just constantly go back and ask money from the collectives as a student athlete?
We've had a few situations in the past where, you have a teammate who goes back and, continues to keep asking for money and money. I think the first time you do it, you open up a dark room where everybody is now the standard. Like, okay, now I can go ask, and if, you don't meet my demands, well, then I'm out. My services are gone. So I definitely think to some extent he is right, though, where, you don't want to be in a situation where it's middle of October, late October, and the dude's coming to you asking for another $25,000. And it's like, bro, we got this, game. I think the only times where it can be a little bit iffy is if you have a star player or somebody who's making waves in the national limelight. Like, for Oklahoma State, their running back, Ollie Gordon, the second, great dude, great competitor, great ball player. If he is, and they're making, I could only imagine how much money they're making off of him. If he comes into a situation where it's like, hey, like, yeah, I'm probably good financially. I'm going to the next level to the NFL, but as of right now, like, I'm not seeing the amount of return as, I'm giving to you. If we're winning football games, if we're selling out stadiums, if, my jersey numbers are up, then I need a sum of that. So I can understand both sides where he's like, okay, we just want to focus on football. He might be talking to the average, player that he has, or if somebody's looking to transfer in or transfer out, like, stop them from transferring. Okay, worry about that in December. But, for right now, if you have a star player in the making, well, then no, I still think that negotiations need to be had.
Negotiations, NIL deals, how should they happen? What should it look like? It's still a space with a lot of uncertainty, but the one thing is that there's money on the table. And at least according to this story that came out this week from Silver Waves Media, one of the top 70 most influential people in the NIL game is Kurt Roth. And that's right here, 505 Sports Venture Foundation, working along with the University of New Mexico. We'll take your thoughts on all this, 505-246-0610. That's Sports Animal Hotline and text line coming up at 9:15. We'll dive into the world of college athletics with Jeff Grammer from the Albuquerque Journal, get his thoughts on the AD search and much more with Lobo Athletics. When we come back on the other side, so this could actually happen. NFL players playing flag football in the Olympics. They were joking about it. They're talking about it. But there's some real momentum to have these guys play flag football. And then there you go. Is it going to be a 3-on-3 situation where all of a sudden people cared about 3-on-3 basketball and watch Team USA struggle and flame out on the men's side? And how will these NFL players do playing flag football in the Olympics? The opening drive here on 95.9 FM, AM 610, the Sports Animal.
This report is sponsored by AutoZone. Get in the zone. It's time to say goodnight to that check-in.
We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible.
If you're drunk, blasted, intoxicated, ripped, plastered, destroyed, bruh. If you're like this, you shouldn't be driving.
We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible. International Protective Services is a proud supporter of ProView Sports and New Mexico Youth Athletics. IPS provides residential and commercial security services in the Albuquerque metro area. For more info, please call 505-897-2420 or visit internationalprotectiveservice.com.
Albuquerque's leader in sports is ProView. From pros to prep, all your favorite action. All your favorite talk shows. Find it on ProView Networks.
What's going on, Lobo Nation? Ja'Cory Krosky-Mirror here. And I'm Devin Dampier. The Lobo football team is going through some changes, but we're here to stay.
We'll put in the work on the field and in the weight room, but we'll need your help off the field.
505 Sports Venture is leading the charge in the NIL space.
And you can be part of it.
Show this shit better than all my intentions. Locked in, shorty, you got my attention. See your baby, I get you the business. Touchdown and pay you a visit.
These are more than just the sounds of a safe place to go after school. These are the sounds of interest being ignited and of mentors making an impact. At Boys and Girls Clubs, we don't do just one thing. We do whatever it takes to meet the needs of every kid who comes through those doors. Because whatever it takes is what it takes to build great futures. Great futures start here.
We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible.
Hey, look! It's Dwight Goodman!
Boom! This place is hot. Let's see if anyone needs my help. How about I drive you madman home, huh?
I got this, Dwight. I'm the designated driver. Boom.
Sweet.
Does anyone need Dwight's help getting home tonight?
No thanks, Romeo. I've got a taxi all lined up.
Drive safe, Dwight.
Boom! Boom!
Well, I'm going to the frontier, walk up to the cashier, order up a root beer and a number one. Cover it with green stuff, one scoop is not enough. Find a booth that's real tough, back by the Duke. Meet my family, meet my friends in the quirkiest restaurant I have ever been. All of Albuquerque's favorite spot, it's the Frontier Restaurant.
The Frontier Restaurant is a proud supporter of ProView Networks.
Don't sacrifice quality and flavor when you're in a hurry. Golden Pride offers ribs, fried chicken, red and green chili breakfast burritos, and Frontier sweet rolls. 4 great locations, or visit us online at goldenprideabq.com. Golden Pride Barbecue Chicken and Ribs are proud supporters of ProView Sports.
We aren't all born with the same opportunities. But it's the people who care that change everything.
Get ready, Spell, get ready!
My coach, my teacher, my older sisters, my grandma, my brother, my tutor, my dad, and my mom.
As New Mexicans, it's up to all of us to do our part.
So that no child goes without love.
And no family has to do it all on their own.
They're all our children. Every single person is called to make a difference in the life of a child.
It's up to all of us to do our part.
To pull together.
Pull together.
Pull together.
To make New Mexico the best place to be a kid.
Teenagers love a party, especially during prom and graduation season. Often, alcohol is involved. Some parents think that hosting a party with alcohol in their home will keep the kids safe, but it's wrong and it's illegal. As a parent, to allow your teenagers' underage friends to consume alcohol on your property is a felony. Parents who host lose the most.
So who do you want to watch play flag football? You might be sitting there thinking, flag football? What are we talking about? NFL players playing flag football? Haven't they already done that? Haven't they eliminated contact from the game? You can't touch a quarterback. You might as well put flags on them right now because everything is roughing the passer. Well, in 4 years, 2028 Summer Olympics in Los Angeles, flag football is one of the games that we'll be watching. Flag football is a lot of fun. It's the closest thing I can get to being a high-level athlete is playing flag football. But it's going to be in the Olympics, and people were joking, man, can you imagine the United States put a flag football team out there? Well, yeah, I can't imagine that because guess what? There are actual conversations about the NFL thinking about letting their dudes in the month of July before the 2028 season play Olympic flag football. It's the opening drive here on 95.9 FM AM 610, The Sports Animal. JJ Buck joined by former Lobo linebacker Cy Riley. Now, there's going to be a whole lot of things that come up contract-wise. If one of these guys blows out a knee, gets hurt playing in the Olympics, but then you take a step back and go, we watch NBA players play basketball, full-on basketball games in the Olympics, and now we're going to get worried that NFL players can't play flag football? No, it'll be all right. But might ruffle a little feathers because there actually is a current U.S. flag football team. Their quarterback, Daryl Duchette, said it would be disrespectful for NFL players to come get their spots. Well, guess what? Earn it. Have a camp. Do what they do for anything else is you invite players in to have a training camp and see if the flag football quarterback, Daryl Duchette, can hold off Caleb Williams, Patrick Mahomes, and Jaden Daniels. But Jeff Miller, who works with the NFL, told reporters in a Monday conference call, quote, conversations are continuing to go on with the Players Association and players themselves. But obviously the hope would be that players who want to participate in the Olympics and represent their country have the opportunity to do so. It's something that we're working on actively. Of course, we see this too with the All-Star game now, right? The Pro Bowl. It's a flag football competition, so it's not foreign, but I think this would definitely add some juice to it. And a lot of this hype comes from the fact people cared about 3-on-3 basketball for 2 weeks because it was a part of the Olympics, and the U.S. team didn't do too well. And so they're sitting there going, you know, why can't the United States just send 3 of the best dudes who didn't make the Olympic team to play 3-on-3 basketball? Well, FIBA has different rules. You actually have to earn points playing in FIBA 3-on-3 competitions to be eligible to play 3-on-3 basketball. So that's why it wasn't as simple as, you know, why wasn't, you name it, out there. You know, that could be where Jaylen Brown went and dominated in 3-on-3 because he didn't get on the Olympic team. It doesn't sound like this is the case in flag football where you have to earn points to be on this team, but here it is, Cy. And heck, maybe we'll see you out there too in 2028. Who knows, playing some defense. But what do you think of this just as a football player seeing flag football in the Olympics? And then who you picking? Who's your squad?
I love it because, again, if I'm from the NFL perspective, if I'm the NFL, we always talk about wanting to go international. We're playing games in London. We're playing games in Sweden. We're playing games in France. where our first game of the regular season for the Eagles and Packers is in Brazil. So if you want to talk about, going international with it, the Olympics is where it's at, man. If the NFLPA is able to get their guys and the players in collaboration with the NFL to go to the Olympics and play flag football, I'm all for it. You mean to tell me Patrick Mahomes is not going to be the starting quarterback? He's not the best quarterback in the world? You mean to tell me Tyreek Hill is not the best wide receiver?
4 years from now, though, too.
4 years, Tyreek might not be the best guy, but I still think the NFL is going to have so much talent. Justin Jefferson's young, Jamar Chase is young, Puka Nacua is young. Like, there's so much talent in the league, young talent, that in 4 years, I think that they'll be able to give the flag football guys a run for their money. But I do understand the disagreement where they're like, okay, they can't just come and take our jobs, because again, they are putting the time to be a part of the America's flag football team, and we appreciate them for wanting to represent us on the national stage. Now,
We appreciate you, but this is Jaden Daniels.
Yeah, like we're gonna have to have you step aside, like, just for right now. But I can see where, again, I would feel some type of way if somebody told me, but it's the NFL, man. That's the top of the top. Now, who am I picking?
Yeah, like, I know it might be easy right now. We're saying, oh, yeah, Patrick Mahomes, Tyreek Hill. I think Mahomes is still going to be that dude, but flag football.
I'll go C.J. Stroud as my quarterback. Who you taking?
I think you say 4 years from now, I think I'm going Jaden Daniels, like, as my flag football quarterback in the Olympics.
I can see that. I can see that.
A lot more opportunity to run in flag football for the quarterback, get out there. But then you look at the skill position players, man, Jahmyr Gibbs, getting him out there. You mentioned Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, CeeDee Lamb. Tons of opportunity. The flag football is coming to the Olympics. And who would be your squad? 7-on-7. It'd be interesting, too. You really think linebacker, secondary players. Sorry, big guys. Probably going to be out, because I don't know if it's going to be the contact flag football we see, where there's going to be some blocking. But there you go. The NBA players ball out. Looks like the NFL players are going to get their chance in 2028. He's Cy Riley. We've got Bobcat Adrian holding it down on ProView Networks. And JJ Buck with you here on the Sports Animal.
We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible. International Protective Services is a proud supporter of ProView Sports and New Mexico Youth Athletics. IPS provides residential and commercial security services in the Albuquerque metro area. For more info, please call 505-897-2420 or visit internationalprotectiveservice.com.
Hi, I'm Steve Stunker here for Dr. Robert Melendez and the Juliet Eye Institute. You may remember me like this, but no more. The glasses are gone. I tossed them months ago because of a brand new procedure from Dr. Melendez known as RLE, Refractive Lens Exchange. The latest technology, the best eyesight I've ever had in my life, and you can check it out by clicking on the link in the description right here.
ProView Networks would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible. Hans Whitler Automotive, German car maintenance and repair in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Call 505-294-7684 or visit HansWhitlerAuto.com.
What's going on, Lobo Nation? Ja'Cory Krosky-Mir here.
And I'm Devin Dampier. The Lobo football team's going through some changes, but we're here to stay.
We'll put in the work on the field and in the weight room, but we'll need your help off the field.
505 Sports Venture is leading the charge in the NIL space.
And you can be part of it.
Shorty, she better than all my intentions. Locked in, shorty, you got my attention. See your baby, I give you the business. Touchdown and pay you a visit.
or surprisingly great rates? Contact your local State Farm agent today.
If you want the real deal, call State Farm agent Marty Size in Albuquerque today.
Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
It's Dwight Goodman! Boom! This place is hot. Let's see if anyone needs my help. How about I drive you madman home, huh?
I got this, Dwight. I'm the designated driver. Boom.
Sweet.
Does anyone need Dwight's help getting home tonight?
Bus.
Now, voted the best sports show in New Mexico for 5 years running. It's the OD in the AM with 3-time New Mexico Sportscaster of the Year, Jeff Symbieta and JJ Bob.
Stars, sparks that ignite to my intros. Tempos will flow, minds will just blow. Ready or not, countdown.
Confidence, you gotta have it. Whatever you do, you need to be confident. But then there's also the balance of being pushed, of overcoming, of fighting through obstacles. But do you have the right people on your side to make it through? The quarterback in Miami was at odds, butted heads with his previous coach, and he called him out big time. Is this just a bitter guy that couldn't handle being coached hard, or was it a swing and a miss from his former head coach when it came to developing a young quarterback? What it do, and welcome into the opening drive. A good Tuesday to y'all. JJ Buck, Cy Riley with you this morning, the former Lobo linebacker at Bobcat, holding it down, Adrian, and on ProView Networks. You can watch the show Xfinity, channel 26, streaming online. Enjoy it there. So Tua Tagovailoa sat down with Dan Le Batard, the Dan Le Batard Show, an interview that they aired yesterday, and Tua said that he didn't believe that he could be a starting quarterback in the NFL under former head coach Brian Flores, and that Mike McDaniel had to train that out of him the past 2 seasons. So if you go back to the start of Tua's career, he gets drafted, and that was a draft class where Joe Burrow went number 1 overall. Got it. And we had an unbelievable year at LSU, and he's backed that up when healthy at Cincinnati. But then you also had Tua being compared to Justin Herbert because the Miami Dolphins went Tua Tagovailoa, and then the Chargers took Justin Herbert. In just terms of straight up play early on, Herbert was running circles around Tua, and the development wasn't great early on. Some of that was, we saw Tua get hurt and miss a lot of time. But then you go back to that rookie season, and in 2020, remember that Ryan Fitzpatrick was there, and Brian Flores trusted the veteran. And he was leaning on the Fitz magic. There were a couple times where Fitzpatrick essentially was the closer. He came in 2 games in the fourth quarter to replace Tua. Now, the Dolphins weren't bad. They had winning records the last 2 years under Brian Flores. But due to injury, due to other things, who knows, practice, whatever it may be, Brian Flores was never really all in on Tua. And Miami was rumored to be a team that was trying to go after Deshaun Watson as well. When Brian Flores got fired, they bring in Mike McDaniel, and we saw last season that he created an offense around Tua, that he led the league in passing, and Tua just got a big-time contract this offseason. But when you go back to it, and you hear this from Tua, we aren't going to know for sure exactly what happened. Now, there's been plenty of reports about how Brian Flores might have gone a little bit further than just pushing being a hard coach and actually sending text messages to Tua, pretty much saying like he sucked, and maybe it was a swing and a miss from Brian Flores in terms of what he thought was going to motivate someone. But when you see Tua kind of come out and really just lay this out and put it on Brian Flores and say, hey man, this dude destroyed my confidence, do you think it was just a swing and a miss by Brian Flores in terms of like his coaching style didn't mess with Tua, or do you think Flores was doing too much with his young quarterback?
Well, I think it makes sense because when he was fired, everybody was in an uproar about how could you fire this coach? You just came back winning seasons the past 2 years, Dolphins making the playoffs. Like, what's going on? And in Tua's case, now learning what was going on behind the scenes, I think the Miami Dolphins made a great decision because, again, if you're rolling with Tua, when you drafted Tua, they always talked about him being one of the best quarterbacks in the draft. When they drafted him and seeing his rookie progression, again, there are some things that they were going to work with him and sorting out his development. But yeah, I want to hear what Brian has to say. And if this is true, then obviously the Miami Dolphins made a great decision in moving past him because under McDaniels, he's been a heck of a quarterback.
Now, and with this, I think any athlete or any of us have been in a position where maybe we've butted heads with someone above us, didn't quite see eye to eye, didn't quite have the same styles. But this was pretty raking Brian Flores over the coals for Tua with what he was talking about in this interview with the Dan Le Batard show. But now that's in the past, and we have seen a successful offense from the Miami Dolphins. Now, can they go from a fantasy football team, which they're a great fantasy football team right now? If you have Tyreek Hill, he's in contention to be a top 3 pick in PPR leagues. Of course, Jalen Waddle, I think, is going to have a bounce-back season. Those two dominating targets. Raheem Mostert had 18 touchdowns last year. Devon Achane is an explosive player. They're a great fantasy football team. But now that talk has to go from putting up numbers to winning football games. And now for Tua, all right, your confidence was rebuilt by Mike McDaniel. They just handed you the bag. And by the way, your owner, who signed off on that, who says, all right, I believe you, is putting it out there. As Stephen Ross was on the preseason telecast over the weekend, and he expects this team to compete for a Super Bowl. As you should. When you hand your quarterback a brand new bag of money, you have the level of investment that you do in that offense. The Dolphins should be contenders. And the question now with Tua is, all right, you have a coach, you have a team that is all in with you. Can you beat the Buffalo Bills? Can you win a meaningful game on the road? I don't want to go back to that game in Kansas City in the postseason where it was like minus 27 degrees out. You lost to Patrick Mahomes. And look at that and go, well, Tua can never get it done. I want to look at the games against Josh Allen and the Bills when you had the opportunity to win the division. The season was right there, and the Bills got you. That's my question with Tua. All right, you got your confidence back. You have a guy that believes in you. You just were paid as really – he got a brand new deal, but you look at it, it's still probably only like top 10 quarterback money right now in the NFL. Do you believe that he can be that guy? Can Tua beat Josh Allen? Can Tua beat Aaron Rodgers if he's just good with the way we saw the Jets play and win 7 games with no quarterback last season? How much do you believe in Tua and this Dolphins team?
Yeah, I mean, you would kind of hope that he could with all the playmakers they have. They have Waddle. They have top 100 NFL players ranked. Number 1, Tyreek Hill. They have Raheem. They have Devon. They have the head coach. They have Mike McDaniel, who is so good at creating space and getting players open. So you want to look and say that they have all the pieces. And last year, sure enough, looked like they had all the pieces. They had a chance for the number 1 seed at times. They had 3 weeks in a row where they could have won the division and staved off the Bills, but it didn't happen. So, again, can they win on the road? Their home record was amazing last year. Obviously, they can't beat Allen. Now they're having to deal with a healthy Aaron Rodgers, and the entire New York Jets. Everybody's been talking about them. They don't have to worry about the Patriots anymore. But again, if I'm the Dolphins owner, Stefan Ross, and I'm looking at my squad and my players, absolutely this is the year, and that makes total sense as to why he's paying these players, because again, you want these guys, star caliber players, to play free, play without a worry, a care in the world, not thinking about, okay, am I gonna have to save myself, or am I gonna have to push my body because I'm in a contract type of year? They're not in that. So yeah, the Dolphins, they need to go out there and they need to prove the doubters wrong. Tua needs to prove the doubters wrong, and he's got the playmakers and the pieces around him to make him go. It's just one of those things where it's like, hey, can you stay healthy? Can the offensive line protect him so he's not having to deal with concussions? Can they play solid defense? And, we've seen them put up 60 points. We've seen them put up 70 points. So,
And now it's, as you mentioned, can you do it late in the season? And the opportunity is there right now. We look at the Bills, and Josh Allen's that dude. Like, I don't think the Bills are going to fall off just because Stephon Diggs isn't there. But they have some question marks going into the season. And when you look at the injuries they're dealing with, they lost Matt Milano, a starting linebacker. He tore his biceps in practice last week. The depth is going to be questioned. Josh Allen has been durable even with his running style, but the backup quarterback went down. Mitch Trubisky is going to be out a few weeks. So now they're trying to bring in some guys. They signed Ben DiNucci. Shane Buechele got hurt, so they had to bring in Anthony Brown. So their depth is being tested before the season, and it's even more pressure on Josh Allen to elevate that team. But I think he will, because I do like what they've done offensively. I think Keon Coleman, rookie out of Florida State, is going to develop into the number one target. Dalton Kincaid, their first-round pick last year, is going to be fine, soaking up all those early targets in on offense. James Cook with Josh Allen. But I think their defense can be got right now. So that's an area you look at. All right, the Dolphins go out there and attack that Bills defense. You look at the Jets. You mentioned Aaron Rodgers. What's a fair expectation for Rodgers? I think fair is actually just good quarterback play. I don't think Aaron Rodgers is going to be in the MVP conversation again at this point in time. 40-year-old quarterback coming off an Achilles. But if he's good, you look at, is that good enough when you have Garrett Wilson as your wide receiver one, Breece Hall, who showed you he is a game-changing running back, as they try to get some depth around him, because I think the Jets, they have the best defense in the division, so they can lean on that. So if you just get good quarterback play from Aaron Rodgers with two elite playmakers on the offense, seeing what the depth is, Mike Williams just beginning to get cleared for full practice, the receiver that they signed from the Chargers on a one-year deal. He missed 18 games the last years, but he's the guy that can take it over the top. It lines up that this should be the year that Miami takes that step and wins the division, as they look to end a 24-year run without a playoff victory.
Yeah, that's just absolutely wild. 24 years without a playoff. Oh, man, sounding like almost like the Cowboys. It's one of those.
Couple, at least, victories in there. But
yeah, but Cowboy fans don't want. Yeah, they want the championship game. They want the Super Bowl. So all that little, wild card stuff, they don't even register that. But no, the New York Jets and Miami Dolphins, I think this is the year that they can go out and get a depleted Bills team with Josh Allen as the quarterback. As long as Josh Allen is there in Buffalo, they're not going to have a lot of windows for their team success. But, if Josh Allen not having Stephon Diggs, dealing with all these injuries around him, they're going to ask, the Buffalo Bills are going to ask him to start off strong and put the entire team on his back, like he's done so many times. But again, when it's hard to win NFL football games going 1-11. So when you have a team like the New York Jets, when you have a team like the Miami Dolphins with players in place, with all pros around them, with former MVPs on your team, you're going to have a lot of expectations, and this is the year that they can go get Buffalo. They don't have to play in Buffalo come, late January, and they necessarily won't have to look forward to, Buffalo getting the number one seed, being in that contention. So if they can get a game at their house. If they can win the division, if they can get an extra bye week, and have the AFC run through them, as everybody always says, it's got to go through Kansas City. Well, last year it showed that it didn't have to go through Kansas City. So if you can go get it at home, I think this is the best year. This is the time to do it if I'm either one of those two franchises.
Yeah, so it's flipped. The Dolphins will get through the Bills early. They'll have them week 2 in Miami, so that's going to be a hot one for Josh Allen and the Bills. And then they go up to Buffalo November 3rd. But it's the Jets. Then you have to watch out for, because 2 of the last 5 weeks of the season, the Dolphins play the Jets. They host the Jets December 8th, and then the final regular season game, January 5th. Division could be on the line once again, like we saw it last year. Dolphins at the Jets. And can Miami get it done? The pressure is on. Everyone got paid. The opportunity is there. Now can Tua be that guy? Speaking of going 1-on-11. So a Hall of Famer said this quarterback was one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the league. The biggest man crush right now in the NFL is this head coach with this quarterback. So is it time? Can this dude go 1-on-11? He got paid. People think he's the best, but there's not a lot of expectation for this guy this season. Who is it? We'll break it down next. The opening drive here on 95.9 FM, AM 610, the Sports Animal.
This report is sponsored by FEMA.
We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible.
What's going on, Lobo Nation? Ja'Cory Cross-Camara here.
And I'm Devin Dampier. The Lobo football team is going through some changes, but we're here to stay.
We'll put in the work on the field and in the weight room, but we'll need your help off the field.
505 Sports Venture is leading the charge in the NIL space.
And you can be part of it.
Shorty, she better than all my intentions. Locked in, shorty, you got my attention. See your baby, I get you the business. Touchdown and pay you a visit.
ProView Networks would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible. Hans Whitler Automotive, German car maintenance and repair in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Call 505-294-7684 or visit hanswhitlerauto.com.
If you're drunk, blasted, intoxicated, ripped, plastered, destroyed, bruh. If you're like this, you shouldn't be driving.
Well, I'm going to the frontier, walking to the cashier, order up a root beer and a number 1. Cover it with green stuff, 1 scoop is not enough. Find a booth is real tough, back by the Duke. Meet my family, meet my friends in the quirkiest restaurant I have ever been. All of Albuquerque's favorite spot, it's the Frontier Restaurant.
The Frontier Restaurant is a proud supporter of ProView Networks.
These are more than just the sounds of a safe place to go after school. These are the sounds of interest being ignited and of mentors making an impact. At Boys and Girls Clubs, we don't do just one thing. We do whatever it takes to meet the needs of every kid who comes through those doors. Because whatever it takes is what it takes to build great futures. Great futures start here.
Don't sacrifice quality and flavor when you're in a hurry. Golden Pride offers ribs, fried chicken, red and green chili breakfast burritos, and Frontier sweet rolls. 4 great locations, or visit us online at goldenprideabq.com. Golden Pride Barbecue Chicken and Ribs are proud supporters of ProView Sports.
We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible.
What's going on, Lobo Nation? Ja'Cory Krosky-Miller here.
And I'm Devin Dampier. The Lobo football team is going through some changes, but we're here to stay.
We'll put in the work on the field and in the weight room, but we'll need your help off the field.
505 Sports Venture is leading the charge in the NIL space.
And you can be part of it.
Shorty, she better than all my intentions. Locked in, shorty, you got my attention. CEO, baby, I get you the business. Touchdown and pay you a visit.
Hi, my name is Daniel Chavez, and this is my business partner, David Chavez. We are the owners of Indeed Safety. Indeed Safety is a local safety consulting company helping our clients with their safety needs for their projects.
One of the things we pride ourselves as a construction safety company is helping our men and women in construction get home safe every day to their families. Indeed Safety is a proud supporter of ProView Network.
Teenagers love a party, especially during prom and graduation season. Often, alcohol is involved. Some parents think that hosting a party with alcohol in their home will keep the kids safe, but it's wrong and it's illegal. As a parent, to allow your teenagers' underage friends to consume alcohol on your property is a felony. Parents who host lose the most. Don't be a party to teenage drinking.
This is a program of the Drug Free Action Alliance. For more information, go to burnco.gov/do-not-host.
Young driver, this one. Hard to get her out. She'd been drinking. This one. Both of them gone. They'd been drinking, and he drove clear off the road. This was my family. Drunk driver hit us. And my wife and our daughter, they didn't make it.
Production. You want to see wins. I think this quarterback is Matthew Stafford 2.0, but it does get to a point where you hear the hype, you see everyone saying, man, he's one of the best in the game, but you look and you're like, all right, where's the division titles? Where's the playoff wins? It's the boy who cried wolf with this quarterback, and especially going into a year where all of a sudden you're saying he's one of the best in the game, but there's zero expectations for this team to compete at that level. What is going on? It's opening drive here on 95.9 FM, AM 610, The Sports Animal. J.J. Buck joined by Cy Riley, former Lobo linebacker. Who is this quarterback? Well, the Fanatics Fan Fest went on this past weekend. A lot of superstars in attendance. You had Tom Brady going off on quarterbacks, saying they've dumbed everything down. Rookies shouldn't be playing early. Get off my lawn. Tom Brady was going off. You had Peyton Manning sit down and list his top 5 quarterbacks in the NFL, and it's no surprise. I think these quarterbacks would be the same 5 for all of us. Look at Kansas City Chiefs quarterback Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, Cincinnati, Lamar Jackson, Baltimore, Josh Allen, Buffalo. It's pretty easy. If you say, all right, who are the elite tier quarterbacks in the NFL? Probably be your list of elite guys, kind of win no matter what. The 5th name that Peyton Manning threw out there was Justin Herbert, quarterback of the Chargers. The same Justin Herbert that Jim Harbaugh said when he returned to practice yesterday, quote, I felt like music should be playing. I thought I heard music. Voices of angels, maybe. It felt great. It felt great. Like, there is not a bigger crush in sport than Jim Harbaugh has on Justin Herbert. And he surpassed my man crush on one Justin Herbert since he took the job with the Chargers. But we're talking about a team that we're not expecting to win the division, that we've lowered the expectations for Justin Herbert and the Chargers because we look around at that offense and we're like, wait a second. Ladd McConkey is going to be his number 1 wide receiver? He's not playing in 2 wide receiver sets. The rookie from Georgia. Josh Palmer? What's going on? Keenan Allen's gone. Mike Williams is gone. Austin Eckler is gone. J.K. Dobbins, Gus Edwards. I think it'll be a fine combination. Peyton Manning thinks he's one of the 5 best quarterbacks in the NFL. Jim Harbaugh feels like angels talk to him when Justin Herbert is practicing. But why is it that Justin Herbert
is the one guy in the NFL right now where we look at it and he gets the pass. He gets the benefit of the doubt. Like, the talent, the numbers are there, but the production when it comes to winning and losing, or the win-loss record, I should say, the production, division titles, the playoffs, isn't. What is it about Justin Herbert that just has so many people all in, but when we put an added amount of pressure on all these other quarterbacks?
I think it's that year where they had the end of the season, had to win at Las Vegas or tie. And, you know, they ended up losing in overtime instead of tying to Las Vegas. And everybody was like, oh, they were so close. But it's just Jay Herbo, he's not able to stay healthy. And everybody's giving him, you know, the pass. But, you know, again, this offseason, everybody was hyping them up, saying, what is Justin Herbert going to do without, you know, Mike Williams or Keenan Allen or a Austin Eckler? And he doesn't have any of those pieces, and then he gets hurt. And everybody's like, oh, see, this is the same scenario. So I just think that injuries play a huge part in it for him, you know, and everybody keeping the hype around him. But, I mean, this year, yeah, it's going to have to be Superman ball. I mean, Quentin Johnson, Twitter says he can't catch. And most of the time, I would love to see his drop numbers just in practice alone, because every single clip that they post of him is him dropping the ball. You got Josh Palmer, who's had a lot of experience. DJ Shark, obviously, former Jacksonville Jaguar, played with Trevor Lawrence. And then you got this rookie, Ladd McConkey, who's, again, are we going to rely and put all of this stress and added pressure on him to come in and completely turn around, you know, Justin Herbert's career when it comes to, you know, these wide receivers? And Keenan Allen's been a 1,300 yards guy. Mike Williams got in over 1,000 balls or 1,000 yards, you know, multiple touchdowns. So, again, when you look at the Chargers team, they just don't have all the pieces there. And I think that's what's going to continue to be the pass that we give Justin Herbert, is he gets hurt, and then even when he's healthy, they don't have all the pieces. But
yeah, there's been a lot of excuses for Justin Herbert, and I've been one of those guys that have kind of ridden that train. You know, Brandon Staley deserves a lot of blame, some of his decision making,
correct,
but also you have to make those plays, even if those decisions are made by Brandon Staley. I will say, you know, Justin Herbert did have 62 consecutive starts before missing the final 4 games of last season. So he's been on the field, and it hasn't all just been injuries. But if you believe, and we're talking, this is coming from Peyton Manning, not just some random talking guy, but Peyton Manning says, yeah, that's one of the 5 best quarterbacks right now in the NFL. Then Justin Herbert, even with this offense, should have been competitive. Because if we're sitting there having a belief in Josh Allen, well, we have that belief because we've seen Josh Allen do it on the biggest stage, go toe-to-toe with Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs, and have his team right there, only to see, you know, a squibbed kickoff get put right back into field goal position and to lose in overtime. But if you believe Peyton Manning is telling you this is one of the 5 best quarterbacks in the game, then I do think we have to put a lot more pressure on Justin Herbert, and for him to elevate guys that some of those guys might not even be good. They just might be average NFL wide receivers. We'll elevate them to good wide receivers. Maximize your strength. I'm really interested to see the design of this offense, because we know one of the things Jim Harbaugh is going to do. We saw him do it with the 49ers. It's been a trademark of wherever he's been. It is the running game. And if they can maximize the running game, they use their first round pick on Joe Alt, the tackle, to bring him in. So you have a franchise left tackle that they hope they put in place, protect Justin Herbert, run the football. If Herbert is that guy, he should maximize the talent around him, even if it is less. Now,
yeah.
And if you have a top 5 quarterback in the game, yeah, I think the expectations are you should be competing for a wild card spot. I'm still taking Kansas City over them. I look at Kansas City this year, and I think even with Hollywood Brown getting hurt and missing some time to start the season, Rashee Rice, he hasn't been suspended yet. Like, that's ongoing. So he's going to be on the football field playing for Kansas City. Rashee Rice settled in as a good wide receiver 1. You have Travis Kelce, you have Isaiah Pacheco. and they used the first round pick on Xavier Worthy. So I'm still taking Kansas City. But if Peyton Manning's telling you he's top 5, if Jim Harbaugh is hailing voices of angels when Justin Herbert steps on the field, then we should be expecting this dude to have them in wild card contention.
Yeah, and I think that's another reason why we give Justin Herbert so much slack is because they're playing in the same division as Patrick Mahomes. You know, we're not asking them to go win the division. Like, we're not asking them to go, you know, do what everybody thinks is impossible. We're just asking them to make the wild card, you know, be a 5th or 6th or 7th seed. But again, like, injuries place a huge part of that. If I'm Coach Harbaugh, I'm looking at the Chargers depth chart now. You have Rashawn Slater. Everybody agrees, top 5 tackle in the NFL. You have this new rookie, Joe Alt, who everybody is now looking at him to be, you know, a top 5 tackle. So you could possibly have 2, but we're going to let the play decide how good he is. You still have Alex Leatherwood from, you know, Alabama guy. They got Bradley Bozeman. So they have the pieces for the offensive line. It's just, again, in these Harbaugh-led teams, can we run the football and can we play good defense? And they still have Khalil Mack, Joey Bosa, you know, Asante Samuel Jr., and Derwin James in the back end. So they have a pretty formidable defense. It's just, you know, when it comes to the offensive side of the ball, hey, what type of style are we going to run? Are we going to want to run the teams out the building, or are we going to go on a little slower pace? Are we going to be relying a little bit more on our defense, or are we trying to get up in front of and on teams 10 to 15 points at, you know, in a quarter? So I just think it depends on what style that they want to do. But I mean, I agree Justin Herbert is a great talent, but when I'm looking at the totality of the entire team, it's just, do I believe he can get the job done with the pieces around him? I don't know if he couldn't get it.
Should be yes. If Peyton Manning is telling you that's one of the 5 best quarterbacks in the game, and he's not just blowing smoke. I think the expectations, rightfully so, should be pushed up. And you're right, it's the top 5 quarterback should compete with Patrick Mahomes. That Patrick Mahomes has elevated himself above everyone else in this league. They can't. It's time for the Chargers to stop being paper champions.
Correct.
Get Justin Herbert to get this team to the postseason. 505-246-0610, Sports Animal Hotline and text line this morning. Coming up at 9:15, Jeff Grammer of the Albuquerque Journal going to join us. We're going to talk some Lobo athletics, of course, with the athletic director search underway. What has he heard, and really, what direction should UNM go? Where do they sit in the landscape amongst Division I jobs? How do they match up against their peers? And really, what should the focus of the next athletic director be in a time where college athletics is still undergoing so much change? And we know when it comes to college football, the haves want to continue to build that gap between the have-nots. It's the opening drive here on 95.9 FM, AM 610, the Sports Animal.
Brought to you by...
We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible. ProView Networks would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible. Hans Whitler Automotive, German car maintenance and repair in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Call 505-294-7684 or visit hanswhitlerauto.com.
Albuquerque's leader in sports is ProView. From pros to prep, all your favorite action. All your favorite talk shows. Find it on
Hi, I'm Steve Stucker here for Dr. Robert Melendez and the Juliet Eye Institute. You may remember me like this, but no more. The glasses are gone. I tossed them months ago because of a brand new procedure from Dr. Melendez known as RLE, Refractive Lens Exchange. The latest technology, the best eyesight I've ever had in my life, and you can check it out by clicking on the link in the description right here.
These are more than just the sounds of a safe place to go after school. These are the sounds of interest being ignited and of mentors making an impact. At Boys and Girls Clubs, we don't do just one thing. We do whatever it takes to meet the needs of every kid who comes through those doors. Because whatever it takes is what it takes to build great futures. Great futures start here.
We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible. Evergard Roofing and Solar. For nearly 20 years, Evergard Roofing and Solar has been working with New Mexicans to enhance their homes and businesses. For all your roofing and solar needs in New Mexico, call 505-821-9543. We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible.
Albuquerque's leader in sports is ProView. From pros to prep, all your favorite action. All your favorite talk shows. Find it on ProView Networks.
If you're drunk, blasted, intoxicated, rip, plastered, taint, destroyed, bruh. If you're like this, you shouldn't be driving.
I was born in New Mexico. I grew up on these streets. I got in trouble here, and I fought my way back in Burquia. I love New Mexico, especially the people. Now I'm using my training, tenacity, and energy to fight for you.
I'm Adam Oki, lawyer, fighter, and New Mexican. I was a local athlete here in New Mexico, so I'm proud to support your local athletes.
What's going on, Lobo Nation? Ja'Cory Krosky-Miller here.
And I'm Devin Dampier. The Lobo football team is going through some changes, but we're here to stay.
We'll put in the work on the field and in the weight room, but we'll need your help off the field.
505 Sports Venture is leading the charge in the NIL space.
And you can be part of it.
Shorty, she better than all my intentions. Locked in, shorty, you got my attention. CEO, baby, I get you the business. Touchdown and pay you a visit.
I just happened to be talking about two quarterbacks from the same draft class that got paid. Justin Herbert to Tagovailoa, looking for that postseason success. Tua saying that Mike McDaniel had to rebuild his confidence. Not quite
see eye to eye with Brian Flores in his first few seasons in Miami, and now it paid off. I think the Dolphins, Mike McDaniel, you saw an explosion from Tua and that offense, and the question is, can they beat Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills? Could they beat a good Aaron Rodgers? If that's the case this season when it comes to winning the division, last game of the year for the Dolphins at the New York Jets, that one could be hype. And then Justin Herbert, Peyton Manning saying he's a top 5 quarterback in the league. Jim Harbaugh saying he felt like angels were singing yesterday when Justin Herbert got back on the practice field. He missed the last 2 weeks. He was in that walking boot with the plantar fasciitis, and that's something that is going to play a factor all season long because that could pop up whenever. Like your foot just could get sore, boom, there you go. And that's another wrinkle to the Justin Herbert situation. It's the opening drive here on 95.9 FM, AM 610, the Sports Animal. JJ Buck, joined by Cy Riley, former Lobo linebacker. We're going to get back into depth chart season here in a little bit. Lobos released their first 2 deep yesterday of the year. We get a look at the offense and defense as it's a whole new style with Jason Beck, the offense coordinator, defense coordinator, Nick Howell, and, of course, Bronco Mendenhall. Steady. And so I had someone yesterday who said, man, Bronco Mendenhall, he's boring. Like, he doesn't quite have the buzz. I kind of took a step back, and I'm like, well, that's an interesting way to look at someone who's very polished, who's poised. You know, he speaks a lot in terms of laying things out, you know, metaphorically. The focus, mindset. No, I didn't feel that way. And, you know, you always are looking at, you know, what does a program need? There's, you know, the one extreme, you got Deion Sanders, who's the ultimate hype man, who's bringing the buzz, who's bringing that extra media attention. And they have Bronco Mendenhall, who has a great college football resume of getting teams to the postseason, getting bowl eligible, having a certain way. I was a little surprised to hear someone tell me that. Like, Bronco Mendenhall wasn't their cup of tea, which is fine. I don't think Bronco's boring. I think he's very well spoken. He's polished. But I think for Lobo football right now, the excitement needs to come from the football field. Like, at this point in time, you know, Lobo fans don't need a cheerleader, don't need someone that's just hype to hype. That hype needs to come from the football field. And you know, you just spent 4 years giving your all to invest in this university, in this city, in that program. You know, when you hear people talk about the head coach and what they want to hear from the outside, what lands for you? Because I look at it and go, I think that, you know, Bronco, it works right now because you went kind of the hype route with Danny Gonzalez. You bring the alumni back. You know, Danny is all about Albuquerque. He still is all about this community, and given the fact he was a Lobo alumni. But to me, I don't need just hype press conferences right now. I need hype from the football field.
Yeah, I think on Saturday, you know, Coach Mendenhall hopes to showcase who he is and who he's all or what he's all about. You know, with the type of effort that these guys are going to give. I think it's a changing in the guard, you know, so to speak. Not also for the players, but also for the media, for the fans. You know, it's two different styles. You know, Coach G was definitely in the press. You know, definitely making sure that he was out there in the community, that you could see him, that you were hearing from him. Coach Mendenhall's a little bit more, not I want to say reserved, but he's just doing things a little bit differently. You know, you got closed practices, you got these media sessions, but when you're listening to Coach Mendenhall, you know, it's one of those deals where it's like, how smart is this man actually? Like, he's so intelligent, he's so purposeful, and so intentful about what he's saying, what he's doing with these players, with the program. And hopefully that'll show on Saturday. You know, again, it's a different side when you could just listen, or all you're doing is listening to media, you know, tapes and you know, radio and, you know, all these different things. But when he's out there actually coaching and fans are actually able to see how he's interacting with the players, what he looks like on a game day, atmosphere-wise, what the game day operations of the team are. So it's just one of those things that Lobo fans will take some adjustments to, or adjusting to. And hopefully, you know, on Saturday, all those questions go away.
Yeah, the hype right now needs to come from the field because Lobo fans want to see a competitive product. You don't need to tell them anymore. They want to see it, and I think that's what Bronco Mendenhall brings. And he did say yesterday that if you were to mic him up on the sidelines, he said he'd be boring. Because if the things are going well in a football game for the Lobos, he said he's letting other people do the talking. When he talks on the sideline, it's going to be because maybe something went wrong, and he needs to send a message. So I think that is a really interesting way to look at the head coaching position from Bronco Mendenhall. But is he exciting enough for you? The hype to me, now you've done that. There's press conferences, there's social media. Right now, it needs to come from the football field and what we'll see from this team Saturday against Montana State. We'll give you a couple of our takeaways, things that stood out to us as the Lobos released their first official 2-deep depth chart yesterday ahead of the season. We got Cy Riley, JJ Buck, Bobcat, Adrian holding it down right here on the Sports Animal.
This report is sponsored by Allstate.
We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible. International Protective Services is a proud supporter of ProView Sports and New Mexico Youth Athletics. IPS provides residential and commercial security services in the Albuquerque metro area. For more info, please call 505-897-2420 or visit internationalprotectiveservice.com.
These days, it's important to know people and businesses you can trust. There's a lot of places where you can buy a vehicle, but there's only a few local dealerships where you'll find honest people who have your best interests in mind. And Fiesta Kia is one of them. We've been helping our neighbors save money and drive dependable cars for years, and we'd love to help you. With new Kias arriving daily, you'll love our selection and the peace of mind you'll get driving a Kia from Fiesta. So stop by and see us today at Fiesta Kia on Lomas, or just start driving now at fiestakia.com.
I was born in New Mexico. I grew up on these streets. I got in trouble here, and I fought my way back in boot camp. I love New Mexico, especially the people. Now I'm using my training, tenacity, and energy to fight for you. I'm Adam Oki, lawyer, fighter, and New Mexican. I was a local athlete here in New Mexico, so I'm proud to support your local athletes.
We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible.
Hi, I'm Steve Stunker here for Dr. Robert Melendez and the Juliet Eye Institute. You may remember me like this, but no more. The glasses are gone. I tossed them months ago because of a brand new procedure from Dr. Melendez known as RLE, Refractive Lens Exchange. The latest technology, the best eyesight I've ever had in my life, and you can check it out by clicking on the link in the description right here.
What's going on, Lobo Nation? Ja'Cory Krosky-Miller here.
And I'm Devin Dampier. The Lobo football team is going through some changes, but we're here to stay.
We'll put in the work on the field and in the weight room, but we'll need your help off the field.
505 Sports Venture is leading the charge in the NIL space.
And you can be part of it.
Shorty, she better than all my intentions. Locked in, shorty, you got my attention. See your baby, I get you the business. Touchdown and pay you a visit.
We aren't all born with the same opportunities. But it's the people who care that change everything.
Get ready, Sprout, get ready.
My coach, my teacher, my older sisters, my grandma, my brother, my tutor, my dad, and my mom.
As New Mexicans, it's up to all of us to do our part,
so that no child goes without love.
And no family has to do it all on their own.
They're all our children. Every single person is called to make a difference in the life of a child.
It's up to all of us to do our part.
To pull together.
Pull together.
Pull together.
To make New Mexico the best place to be a kid.
I was born in New Mexico. I grew up on these streets. I got in trouble here, and I fought my way back in boot camp. I love New Mexico, especially the people. Now I'm using my training, tenacity, and energy to fight for you.
I'm Adam Oki, lawyer, fighter, and New Mexican. I was a local athlete here in New Mexico, so I'm proud to support your local athletes.
Rudy's is a proud supporter of ProView Networks.
Hi, my name is Daniel Chavez, and this is my business partner, David Chavez. We are the owners of Indeed Safety. Indeed Safety is a local safety consulting company helping our clients with their safety needs for their projects.
One of the things we pride ourselves as a construction safety company is helping our men and women in construction get home safe every day to their families. Indeed Safety is a proud supporter of ProView Network.
Hi, I'm Steve Stucker here for Dr. Robert Melendez and the Juliet Eye Institute. You may remember me like this, but no more. The glasses are gone. I tossed them months ago because of a brand new procedure from Dr. Melendez known as RLE, Refractive Lens Exchange. The latest technology, the best eyesight I've ever had in my life, and you can check it out by clicking on the link in the description right here.
Young driver, this one. Hard to get her out. She'd been drinking. This one. Both of them gone. They'd been drinking, and he drove clear off the road. This was my family. Drunk driver hit us. And my wife and our daughter, they didn't make it.
Don't sacrifice quality and flavor when you're in a hurry. Golden Pride offers ribs, fried chicken, red and green chili breakfast burritos, and Frontier sweet rolls. 4 great locations, or visit us online at goldenprideabq.com. Golden Pride Barbecue Chicken and Ribs are proud supporters of ProView Sports.
Well, I'm going to the frontier, walk up to the cashier, order up a root beer and a number 1. Cover it with green stuff, 1 scoop is not enough. Find a booth is real tough, back by the Duke. Meet my family, meet my friends in the quirkiest restaurant I have ever been. All of Albuquerque's favorite spot, it's the Frontier Restaurant.
The Frontier Restaurant is a proud supporter of ProView Networks.
We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible.
Teenagers love a party, especially during prom and graduation season. Often, alcohol is involved. Some parents think that hosting a party with alcohol in their home will keep the kids safe, but it's wrong.
M610, the sports animal.
So as we get ready for Saturday, Lobo football kicks off the Bronco Mendenhall era, 2 p.m. at University Stadium against Montana State. And this talk will be about the line, Lobos home dogs to an FCS opponent. Good FCS football team. Get it, ranked 4th in the preseason poll, but it's an opportunity. 60 new players in the Lobo roster this season. The depth chart came out yesterday. We'll dive into it coming up next segment. But when you look at the offense, the defense, there's known names, but what is it going to mean? What things stand out, and how are they going to play on Saturday? It's opening drive. JJ Buck, Cy Riley. Lobo Talk does begin tonight right here on the Sports Animal. Bronco Mendenhall, Robert Portnoy, and with special guests out there at San Diego Resort and Casino, 6 to 7 o'clock tonight. You can hear that here on the Sports Animal. So that means Isotopes baseball. They kick off their series, and Round Rock will move over to 94.5 FM. The Pit 5:45 pregame with Josh Shushan over there. But we're in it. It's 0 week. It's talking season. And the thing that I'm looking forward to is just finally getting an eye test, seeing what this team is. And this is one where there's preseason polls, there's preseason expectations, but Cy, the thing that you have to let you tell the story is your eyes. Let your eyes tell you what a team can be.
Yeah, and I think it'll be exciting. Again, there's almost a month between home Lobo football games. So, Lobo Nation, this is your opportunity, and you won't get another one till late September to go see these young men take the field. And again, create this hype, give them this momentum. There's only 5 home opportunities that these guys will have. So, you know, they need to win all of the home games if they even want to scratch it, because they still have to go on the road and get one. So, yeah, it's going to be a great opportunity. Saturday, 2 o'clock, right, JJ?
2 o'clock kickoff.
Sun's going to be up and shining, so make sure you wear a hat, get your sunscreen, sunglasses, go watch these men sweat.
Yeah, it might be hot, but guess what? You don't have to be bumping pads with someone else. When we come back on the other side, we'll dive into that depth chart, the first look at the starters for Lobo football, what surprises us about the offense and defense, and you'll get the 4-1-1 on this team because Sam Riley just wrapped up playing 4 years at linebacker at the University of New Mexico with a lot of these guys. So he knows their tendencies. He knows what they're all about. Break it down. On the other side, it's opening drive here on 95.9 FM, AM 610 T Sports Time.
We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible.
Albuquerque's leader in sports is ProView. From pros to prep, all your favorite action. All your favorite talk shows. Find it on ProView Networks.
What's going on, Lobo Nation? Ja'Cory Krosky-Miller here.
And I'm Devin Dampier. The Lobo football team is going through some changes, but we're here to stay.
We'll put in the work on the field and in the weight room, but we'll need your help off the field.
505 Sports Venture is leading the charge in the NIL space.
And you can be part of it.
Shorty, she better than all my intentions. Like me, shorty, you got my attention. CEO, baby, I get you the business. Touchdown and pay you a visit.
A burglary takes place in the United States approximately every 15 seconds. International Protective Service is your answer for commercial and residential security in all of Albuquerque. IPS will work with your monitoring company for fast, reliable response times. You can rest easy knowing you, your family, or your company is watched over by International Protective Service. Call International Protective Service today.
For your surprisingly great rates, contact your local State Farm agent today.
If you want the real deal, call State Farm agent Marty Size in Albuquerque today.
Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Don't sacrifice quality and flavor when you're in a hurry. Golden Pride offers ribs, fried chicken, red and green chili breakfast burritos, and Frontier sweet rolls. 4 great locations, or visit us online at goldenprideabq.com. Golden Pride Barbecue Chicken and Ribs are proud supporters of ProView Sports.
If you're drunk, blasted, intoxicated, ripped, plastered, destroyed, bruh. If you're like this, you shouldn't be driving.
Young driver, this one. Hard to get her out. She'd been drinking. This one. Both of them gone. They'd been drinking, and he drove clear off the road.
Now, voted the best sports show in New Mexico for 5 years running. It's the OD in the AM with 3-time New Mexico Sportscaster of the Year, Jeff Symbieta and JJ Buck.
Coaches will say they don't look at it. They don't talk about it. Players are going to hear it. They're on social media. They're going to feel disrespected. The Lobos, you pull up, on your ESPN, whatever app you're on, they add money lines. You see the over-under a lot of things. Pull up the 0-week schedule, getting excited because 10 a.m., Florida State, Georgia Tech kicking off the season, playing in Dublin, Ireland. We're getting college football. Lobos are one of 4 games on Saturday and 0 week. They're going to have the afternoon to themselves on the UNM Sports Radio Network on FS1, 2 p.m. kickoff. Then we'll get a little SMU at Nevada, and then we'll all find a stream somehow, some way. Hawaii, Delaware State kicking off at 10 p.m. Mountain Time to bookend your 12 hours of college football on 0 week. But then you see Montana State, Bobcats, good quality FCS program. They're 10.5-point favorites. That number keeps going up. What do we not know about Montana State, or what are people believing about the Lobos that number keeps going up and up and up?
I don't know, but I will find out because I'll be holding down the fort for the game.
The producer, Bobcat, back in the studio, holding it down for Robert Portnoy and Don Tromore, UNM Sports Radio Network. They get going 1 p.m. Mountain Time on Saturday, 2 p.m. kickoff. JJ Buck with Cy Riley, former Lobo linebacker. I could understand when this number, you saw it start off maybe 4.5, 5 points, but it's been bet up to 10.5 points. And you got to like the Lobos at home. You have to like them to cover. Get this game. Yes, Montana State's really good, but you got to believe, you got to have that cautious optimism. It's growing in favor of Montana State. So who are the Lobos going to be? We got an idea with the depth chart. Lobos put out their first 2 deep yesterday, and some of the things that stand out, we'll go with the offense. No surprise, Devin Dampier, the sophomore, is your starting quarterback. Wide receiver room, it's going to be interesting. When you look at X, there's 2 players listed. It's Caleb Medford and Nick Trujillo, the redshirt freshman from Cleveland High School. You have Luke Wysong listed at the Y. And Sai, you point out, Devin Jacobs, a guy that was brought in, and we were talking about him in the running back room. Well, he's there listed as Luke Wysong, backup. Then you have the battle at the Z position, Sean Miller, Ryan Davis. Miller, the 6'2" transfer from Illinois. Ryan Davis from UAB, second year at UNM. But one of the things that stands out, alone by himself, no OR listed. There are 12 ORs listed on this depth chart. But right now, going into 0 week, Isaiah Chavez is the backup quarterback for the Lobos, and it's been a wild ride for Isaiah Chavez. He finished 2020 with 2 victories for the Lobos. That season where you guys were camped in Las Vegas, you were camped in Nevada to play the 2020 football season, knocked off Wyoming, knocked off Fresno State, a ton of hype, and then was up and down, dealt with some injuries, been all over, maybe was on special teams, but back as a full-time quarterback. How do you feel about seeing Isaiah Chavez just right now with the performance and the trust that he is QB2 for the Lobos?
Yeah, it's spectacular because, again, when you have the legend that Zay is, true freshman doing dirty work in Las Vegas, fifth, I think it was the 5th string quarterback at that time to go in over the course of the year because we just had so many injuries. It's just one of those things where it's like, man, could we ever see him back on the field? And for him to get this opportunity, for him to, I shouldn't say get, but earn this opportunity for himself, his family, what he's been doing in the Albuquerque, community, Rio Rancho, being a Yaffle, youth football coach, making sure that he's doing things off the field the right way in the classroom. So I'm just super excited for him, super happy for him. And I know he's going to make the most of the opportunity if the team needs him, turns to him because Devin gets injured.
So the last few years, especially coming off the end of 2020, though, there's Lobo football fans have asked the question, why? Why wasn't there more Isaiah Chavez? Why didn't he get the opportunity? And you saw, UNM, they tried a couple one-and-dones, if you like to phrase it that way. Terry Wilson, a transfer from Kentucky. Miles Kendrick, the transfer from Kansas. Dylan Hopkins last year coming from UAB, trying to get these veteran guys that can play right away and elevate the offense. What was the vibe like with Isaiah Chavez in the locker room? Was he a guy that you guys trusted and were vibing with, and it just kind of never really lined up again after 2020?
No, Zay is one of those dudes. Honestly, who kept the team together. There was a lot of animosity towards offense and defense, especially when our offense was ranked last in the country back-to-back years. And defense had to go out there and keep us in games. And, we get 3-and-outs, we get stops, we'd hold them to field goals. And, offense would go 3-and-out the next possession. It didn't bode well for team morale. So Zay was one of those guys who we just, always trusted in. Again, true freshman. Comes in there and just completely, takes over games. So we always knew that given the opportunity that he would make the most of it. And, unfortunately, that never boded well with, transfers coming in, him being injured at times. So, yeah, just the luck of the draw necessarily didn't pan out for him. But, man, it's so good to see him right here listed as the backup to Devin. I know he would have, wanted to be the starter, and he strived, he put in the work to be the starter. But again, when you have the talent that Devin has, it's no shame to be, the backup to him. And I know Zay will take any role that he can do to help this team out.
No, you like to hear that because it has been, a debate and kind of divisive among Lobo fans over the last few seasons. You mentioned that frustration with the offense at times not being able to play up to the level that we've seen from that Lobo defense a few times in the season, and things never really being able to mesh. And then he was the guy that everyone would point back to and go, well, look at the spark he gave you. Why isn't he getting a chance to develop? And he had to go through some injuries himself get through some things. So to see him lined up as QB2, it's big time because, Devin Dampier, you said he does have a high ceiling. This is an offense I think probably better suited for Isaiah Chavez in terms of what they're going to ask the quarterback to do. You really saw the last few years, and it really tried to develop a passing game. And you saw it last year. Hey, offense coordinator, why am I Brian Vincent? Right? He was good enough that he got head coaching job at UAB. So obviously people trusted his scheme and his system, but they really wanted to try to push the football down the field. And it sounds like this year, highlighting the strength of Devin Dampier, it also highlights the strength of Isaiah Chavez. There's more run elements in the game, getting the quarterback out of the pocket. You could see why he would climb back up the depth chart, right?
Yeah, and I'm looking at the depth chart, and if Devin ever gets hurt and Zay becomes the quarterback, that'll be the 13th. But it can go anywhere. You got a minimum of 10 seniors starting, can go up to 12 depending on the lineup. That these coaches put in. Again, like I said, would be 13 if Zay was starting. So again, you have experience across the board in all of these positions. Guys with experience, guys that you can trust, that these coaches, decide to put in their hands, the ball in their hands, whether that be, our punter, Aaron Rodriguez, who, Aaron the leg. I know our Barstool Lobos love memeing him. So yeah, anywhere on the team. If you have guys who have experience, guys who, you truly feel can go out and you can get the best from, and that their skill and that their play will warrant, a winning culture and a winning atmosphere on game day. So, as long as you can get those people out there and those young men and the team works together, and the scheme comes alive, this is a pretty good Lobo team right here.
And shout out to Emory Floyd for the absolute chaos that he could cause. Right now he's listed with James Lobstein as QB3 in OR. But why? Dude's wearing number 99.
Hey.
The quarterback picked 99. Just shout out to Emory Floyd for going, you know what? Let's go. I'm going to get the chance to pick my number. I'm going to be 99 playing the quarterback position. And you look at the defense, and you're like, wait a second. Is this... Yeah, Ishmael Burdine a cornerback wearing 77. It's just all over the place.
Yeah, that's actually crazy. That's actually crazy. You know, and dang, and he's 6'2". Yeah, that does not bode well. I don't know why he decided to rock with that. Maybe because he couldn't get 7.
One of his numbers was taken.
Yeah, maybe.
You know, numbers do become kind of really an important thing for the guys, and that's part of the challenge. Is earned, not given. Bronco Mendenhall doesn't give out numbers. You're not just given a chance to select your number. That's part of the process. Is you guys have to go out there and earn numbers. Do you like that, or do you think that maybe does kind of create some internal rivalry? I'm not saying be too divisive, but if a dude goes out there and takes your number, do you think that fuels the dudes, or is it a little like, all right, I'll just have to go out there and get it back next time?
I think they had a little, conversation. Yeah, they definitely had conversations beforehand as to what numbers that they were going to take. I know a few of them were like, well, I want this and you want this. Well, then the first one to get it. And you definitely have that. But I mean, look, I didn't choose 36. It was given to me. The number that I wanted, I'm not gonna say, but I just unfortunately could not wear. Given the circumstance, I'll tell you off air, JJ, why I couldn't get it. But yeah, numbers are special, and if you're able to earn it, whatever capacity that be, whether that's you're fighting against one of your teammates to get the number first, or you have the conversation. It's like, okay, as soon with everybody, hey, look, man, you want 36? Okay, well then I'll take 24. Because you've earned it. So yeah, it's just one of those things. Puts even more attention to detail and more stress and ownership on the players to earn everything that they've been given, and Coach Mendenhall, that's exactly how he wants it. He wants you to totally exhaust yourself, and when you get it, it feels spectacular. I know some of the GAs that they have on the team talk to the players about what it's like or what their experience was like when they didn't get their number. Even some of these players don't even have numbers still, and aren't probably going to get numbers unless they earn them, next year. So it's just one of those things where it's like, man, you're grateful for everything. And you got to put in the work to earn it.
Yeah, there's a portion of the roster right now that you open up the Lobo game notes. Yeah, you look down, there's a page full of numbers, and then you flip it, and there's a bunch of dudes that don't have numbers yet. And you're wondering, so are these guys that aren't going to get a chance to play, still have a chance to play? This is all in. If you think it's just a banner, it's not. Bronco Mendenhall, earned, not given, is something that he's rolling with, and we'll see who buys in and who doesn't with Lobo football. Coming up next, we'll talk Lobo athletics with Jeff Grammer, where he's the beat writer for the Albuquerque Journal when it comes to Lobo men's basketball. But he's also been all over this AD story with Eddie Nunez, taking the job with the Houston Cougars. What does that mean for UNM? And we'll get his thoughts, too, and just where Lobo sit amongst the college football landscape with their peers in the Mountain West, and what ways this AD search could go as Jeff Grammer joins us next. The opening drive here on 95.9 FM, AM 610, the Sports Animal.
Get ready to step into the ring of
We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible. International Protective Services is a proud supporter of ProView Sports and New Mexico Youth Athletics. IPS provides residential and commercial security services in the Albuquerque metro area. For more info, please call 505-897-2420 or visit internationalprotectiveservice.com.
What's going on, Lobo Nation? Ja'Cory Krosky-Miller here.
And I'm Devin Dampier. The Lobo football team is going through some changes, but we're here to stay.
We'll put in the work on the field and in the weight room, but we'll need your help off the field.
505 Sports Venture is leading the charge in the NIL space.
And you can be part of it.
Shorty, she better than all my intentions. Locked in, shorty, you got my attention. CEO, baby, I get you the business.
born in New Mexico. I grew up on these streets. I got in trouble here, and I fought my way back in Burquia. I love New Mexico, especially the people. Now I'm using my training, tenacity, and energy to fight for you.
I'm Adam Oki, lawyer, fighter, and New Mexican. I was a local athlete here in New Mexico, so I'm proud to support your local athletes.
Albuquerque's leader in sports is ProView. From pros to prep, all your favorite action. All your favorite talk shows. Find it on ProView Networks.
Teenagers love a party, especially during prom and graduation season. Often, alcohol is involved. Some parents think that hosting a party with alcohol in their home will keep the kids safe, but it's wrong and it's illegal. As a parent, to allow your teenagers' underage friends to consume alcohol on your property is a felony. Parents who host lose the most. Don't be a party to teenage drinking.
This is a program of the Drug Free Action Alliance. For more information, go to burnco.gov/do-not-host.
Hey, look! It's Dwight Goodman!
Boom! This place is hot. Let's see if anyone needs my help. How about I drive you madman home, huh?
I got this, Dwight. I'm the designated driver. Boom.
Sweet.
Does anyone need Dwight's help getting home tonight?
No thanks, Romeo. I've got a taxi all lined up.
Drive safe, Dwight.
Boom! Boom!
Seriously? You expect me to drive while you aren't wearing seatbelts?
What's the worst that can happen?
Seriously? Buckle up.
Okay. Thank you.
For your surprisingly great rates, contact your local State Farm agent today.
If you want the real deal, call State Farm agent Marty Size in Albuquerque today.
Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
For your business or your home, Valley Fence stands alone. We're number one in New Mexico for a reason. It's the best fence you can own. Proudly serving New Mexico for over 50 years. At Valley Fence, the difference is clear. No fence too big, too small, or difficult. We handle them all at Valley Fence Company.
It was interesting that not only is it 0 week, it's game week for Lobo football, but the search is on for a new athletic director. I don't think anyone was surprised. We've heard the stories the last few years. Eddie Nunez looking at his next opportunity, what he's built. But when we look back at the 7 years, the tenure of Eddie Nunez as UNM's AD, I know there's going to be people that say but football when it comes to the record. We'll get there. But just in terms of what he was able to do, whether it was financially, the trust in the community, what do you think were some of the biggest positives for his time at UNM?
Yeah, the legacy question, kind of, what will his time be remembered as? And I think there's one huge box that he left unchecked, and then there's some real positives too. It is a new coach takes over a team and talks about this is what we inherited, or we got a rebuild to do, and the culture is this or that. There is absolutely no worse real position you could have taken over as an athletic director, especially a first-time athletic director, than what Eddie Nunez walked into. And that doesn't matter, where you stand and what your opinion is of why all that was happening. The reality is this: predecessor was under felony indictment. Not federal, my apologies. His predecessor, Paul Krebs, had a felony indictment hanging over his head that didn't get resolved until last year, 2023. So for 6 of his 7 years as athletic director, there was still in this community a pending felony trial for an athletic director at UNM. And the reason for that was because of a lot of financial questions and a golf trip to Scotland that all happened before Eddie Nunez ever got here. But the undercurrent was this. He came into a situation where there's the state auditor doing a special audit on the athletics department to see what they were doing with money. They hadn't balanced the budget. I think it was 13 of the previous 14 years in athletics, but they always seemed to find money. There was a vice president on main campus that was integral in kind of finding money for them and loaning money to athletics and all this kind of weird stuff about finances. And he got brought in to kind of clean it up. Another thing that he walked into that was decided before he got here, so this would have been any athletic director that they hired in 2017, had to pick what sport to eliminate. The decision wasn't Eddie Nunez's to kill a sport or to cut a sport. That had been decided by the Board of Regents at a budget summit prior. They said athletics has to cut a certain amount of money, and basically the new AD gets hired to decide what sport to cut. So he was going to be unpopular right from the jump and walking into a mess that I don't know if today he would publicly admit it or not, but I feel confident in telling you that I'm 100% sure that he did not realize how bad the mess was when he got hired here. Now, he still may have taken the job. There's if you want to be an athletic director, it's kind of like a coach, right? There's only so many positions out there sometimes. So he may have still taken the job, but he did not know what the mess he was taking over. And he had a good 3 years before I think people started giving him probably a fair shake at being athletic director, because he came in and cut a popular sport like men's soccer. He was, again, hired to cut a sport, essentially. And he came in where there was no trust with the donors. There was no trust with the alumni. There was very little trust around this whole state in athletics and the financial dealings with athletics. So he walked into a mess, and it took him a little while to get through that mess. And you asked about the positives, and all I'm doing is talking about the black cloud. Well, I think the positive is 7 years later, they're setting records for fundraising. Even Saturday after the news, a couple hours after the news broke that he took the Houston job at the Terry Silver Gala, they brought in just over $1 million in a one-night event, which they never brought in $1 million before. So they set a new record there. Jalen Dominguez running the Lobo Club. They've set 4 consecutive years of annual fundraising records. So the donor trust is back. I think for the most part, alumni trust is back. The lawmakers around the state are satisfied with how the finances at UNM athletics are now being dealt with. So there's not nearly as much question and not nearly as much distrust in that athletic department. And if that's the only legacy you want to kind of remember him by, that's still a pretty good legacy considering what he walked into.
Jeff Grammer, Albuquerque Journal, joining us. All right, so UNM right now. Look at Mountain West Conference, Bronco Mendenhall taking over the program. You have University Stadium, what that building is, the NCAA tournament expectations with Richard Pitino. What kind of job is this now, and what do you think should be the focus of whoever takes over as AD, whether it's someone that gets promoted from within or they bring in someone from outside?
Yeah, I don't know how to do this in New Mexico, but the reality is that, well, I'll back up. I have a good idea of how to do this in New Mexico, but I don't know if it's possible. The biggest box left unchecked by Eddie Nunez and by every predecessor he had is really getting football to be at a level where a big-time conference would want to include New Mexico in the conference realignment discussion, right? Eddie wasn't able to do it, but I will point out they've never put the resources into football that really would allow football to qualify on equal or to compete on equal footing with the top half of the Mountain West. So you want them to win the Mountain West, but you're not putting the resources into it that is even a top half of the conference sort of resources, and that's fair to point out. You know, Danny was behind the 8 ball in that regard. Bob Davie before him was behind the 8 ball in that regard, and frankly, Bronco Mendenhall right now is behind the 8 ball in that regard. The finances and the resources put into football aren't on par with their Mountain West peers. That doesn't mean you can't have a good year every now and then, but man, you got to really, everything has to line up when you just don't have the resources. And that's a credit to the team and the players through the years that have come and competed despite that fact. A lot of good coaches have come through here, and position coaches and this and that. But when you're not funding the coaching staff like a Boise State, like a Colorado State or Nevada and all those things, what you have is a maybe a tight ends coach or a running backs coach or certain position coaches who have never been that at the college level before you. Sometimes you hire some of them off of high school staff. Some of them their previous job was as a graduate assistant. Now you got to start somewhere, but when you look across the coaching staff, when all you can afford is first-timers at those position coaches, sometimes it starts to play out on the field a little bit, right? So I think if they're able, the new AD is able to find a way to devote more money and resources to football specifically, then maybe football starts to get right, and instead of being a bottom-half team consistently in the Mountain West, you can at least be a middle-of-the-pack team with the run of the bowl game every other year or something like that. And I think that would be huge for this athletic department financially.
Hey, Jeff, this is Cy Riley. You talked a little bit
more than anybody, Cy. Like you've been in it, man. You guys work your tails off, despite the fact that there aren't the same resources that some of your Mountain West peers are experiencing and benefiting from. Sorry to interrupt you there. Go ahead.
No, I mean, that segues right into my question. You talked about conference realignment and being able to get football to where men's basketball, has been. Obviously you have the 505 Sports venture with Kurt Roth. Talk about a little bit about how much NIL has played a part of the success of Lobo basketball compared to Lobo football and the opportunities that, these fans can expect and the players can expect going forward.
Yeah, man, if you ever got NIL at New Mexico football to be what it is with basketball, where people are donating to make sure you go get this player or that player or keep this player or keep that player, and if you started getting to the point where Kurt Roth wants to get this the 505 up to about $3.5 million a year, that's kind of his goal. If you can get it at around $3.5 million a year, that's pretty good for a non-power conference program. It's pretty good for some power conference programs, by the way. It's not the top half, but if you can get to football where you're recruiting players because you have the money, where they're picking you because they're going to get more money to come to New Mexico than they would to go to, FBS school X somewhere out there. If they're actually picking New Mexico because of the NIL, now, I get that philosophically, not everybody wants to hear that. They don't want to hear, well, I don't want him picking us because of the money. I want them picking us because they like our coach and they like our facilities. The reality is, in a young person's mind, if you're a 17, 18-year-old coming out of high school, or if you're maybe 19 or 20-year-old coming out of a junior college, and you're picking between 2 or 3 schools, the difference, the tiebreaker, if you will, the difference sometimes can be something like, well, I can get a little more money there. So if the NIL gets right, as long as it's an NIL world, which is ever changing, but as long as it is what it is right now, if it gets to the point where New Mexico can start recruiting football players because of NIL, instead of just saying, yeah, we have some NIL, and that's just maybe a little checkbox at the bottom of your list. If you actually get to the point where a school picks New Mexico because of NIL money, that would be a huge step forward, I think.
Just a couple more minutes, wrapping up with Jeff Grammer, Albuquerque Journal, joining us here on the Sports Animal. And Jeff, one of the things with anything is facility upgrades. And when you're talking about the University of New Mexico, you do have to talk about New Mexico State, right? If you're looking for money for the Division I programs in the state, you can't just say it's going to go to one and not the other. It's part of the legislature and politics in the state when you're talking about institutions at this level. Is there any push or any, I guess, efforts to add money to potential facilities for both universities?
From UNM and NMSU, there's a push. From the lawmakers, there may not be. I'll say this, and I covered a lot of that black cloud I talked about that Eddie Nunez took over at UNM, and there were some very fair, very earned criticisms of how UNM athletics was handling their money there for a while. And that's why they got put on a special audit status with the higher education department and the state auditor. I will point out that it was about 5 years prior, but New Mexico State is still under the same distinction as with the special audit, and having to do some things with their finances in athletics. Now, it hasn't been as recent as UNM, But New Mexico State and UNM athletics both had the same thing. So there were a lot of lawmakers that soured on the idea of giving the two athletic departments any more money. But it's been a long time now. It's been a while that both schools have been doing right by finances. There is oil money. That's what we all hear, right? That New Mexico actually has some oil money right now. There's a lot of talk, again, regardless of what side of the aisle you are on politically, there's a lot of talk about retention in the state, and you don't want people to move out. You want some people to come in and have a quality of life kind of improvement. Well, those kind of things sometimes in communities have to do with like upgrading your sports facilities. It just does. It's not just about adding parks and things like that. It's sometimes about adding things to do in a quality of life situation. Both Aggie Memorial Stadium and University Stadium, and I'll take it a step further, both the Pan Am Center and the Pit probably could use some state-funded upgrades. And I'm a guy that has covered the scrutiny of the finances. I don't think they deserved it a while back. I think now some lawmakers at some point have to step in and start talking about, why are we not giving our state-funded schools more money to compete with their peers? The mayor said it when basketball made their NCAA tournament run this past year. There's nothing I can do as a mayor that helps morale in Albuquerque more than what you guys did when you made it to the NCAA tournament, because everybody was feeling good. Every Lobo fan was like, man, that tournament run in Las Vegas made everybody feel good, right? Well, sports really has that power. Why not at the state level invest in it just a little bit and help some facility upgrades at University Stadium and let make the stadium look like some of their peers around the Mountain West does. We're not saying go make it look like what University of Texas plays in or Alabama or the top-end power conference schools. Just make it look like another Mountain West school. At some point, you have to upgrade what you have a little bit and invest in the athletics here in the state at the state level. And I would hope that happens at some point, not just because I'm a sports writer, just because I'm a New Mexican. And at some point, you kind of have to invest in what you have.
Jeff Grammer, Albuquerque Journal. What else you got going on, man? You're covering ADs. You're talking about budgets. Got the podcast. Are you going live on social media? It's just, you're buzzing, man.
Yeah, I got two girls that started school in the last couple of weeks. Got a home run derby I'm covering on Friday night at Isotopes Park. It should be fun. And, a little bit of everything. About, a month and a half. Come October, I'll be sort of dialed into to basketball. This town still is, and always will be, to a certain extent, really just loves their Lobo basketball. I do think there's a huge opportunity over the next, I'd say 2 years, because I don't think you can judge it too much on this first year. But over the next 2 years, there's a real opportunity for Bronco and Lobo football to really make some inroads on getting some fans, really supportive, consistent fan base at the football side. But basketball is always going to have it. And about 2 months from now, I'm going to dive into that full time for about four or 5 months, and it's going to be fun.
Yeah, and have fun with Brock Purdy, too, this season.
Yeah, I'm nervous about Brock Purdy. Don't do that to me, man.
All right. Jeff, I appreciate you, man. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Jeff Grammer, Albuquerque Journal. We'll dive into that next. It's the opening drive here on the Sports Hour.
The Jim Rome Show. The Cowboys quarterback is in camp talking about potentially playing for other teams. Yeah, because that sounds healthy. Talking about life
We
after
would like
the
to thank
Cowboys.
the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible.
Don't sacrifice quality and flavor when you're in a hurry. Golden Pride offers ribs, fried chicken, red and green chili breakfast burritos, and Frontier Sweet Rolls. 4 great locations, or visit us online at goldenprideabq.com. Golden Pride Barbecue Chicken and Ribs are proud supporters of ProView Sports.
What's going on, Lobo Nation? Ja'Cory Krosky-Meyer here.
And I'm Devin Dampier. The Lobo football team's going through some changes, but we're here to stay. We'll put in the work on the field and in the weight room, but we'll need your help off the field.
505 Sports Venture is leading the charge in the NIL space.
And you can be part of it.
Shorty, she better than all my intentions. Locked in, shorty, you got my attention. See your baby, I get you the business. Touchdown and pay you a visit.
is a proud supporter of ProView Networks.
Teenagers love a party, especially during prom and graduation season. Often, alcohol is involved. Some parents think that hosting a party with alcohol in their home will keep the kids safe, but it's wrong and it's illegal. As a parent, to allow your teenagers' underage friends to consume alcohol on your property is a felony. Parents who host lose the most. Don't be a party to teenage drinking.
This is a program of the Drug Free Action Alliance. For more information, go to burnco.gov/do-not-host.
International Protective Services is a proud supporter of ProView Sports and New Mexico Youth Athletics. IPS provides residential and commercial security services in the Albuquerque metro area. For more info, please call 505-897-2420 or visit internationalprotectiveservice.com.
Hi, I'm Steve Stucker here for Dr. Robert Melendez and the Juliet Eye Institute. You may remember me like this, but no more. The glasses are gone. I tossed them months ago because of a brand new procedure from Dr. Melendez known as RLE, Refractive Lens Exchange. The latest technology, the best eyesight I've ever had in my life, and you can check it out by clicking on the link in the description right here.
These are more than just the sounds of a safe place to go after school. These are the sounds of interest being ignited and of mentors making an impact. At Boys and Girls Clubs, we don't do just one thing. We do whatever it takes to meet the needs of every kid who comes through those doors. Because whatever it takes is what it takes to build great futures. Great futures start here.
Well, I'm going to the frontier, walking to the cashier, order up a root beer and a number one.
Investment. How much from the state? How much private money, public money, all of these things. But when you're talking about universities, UNM, New Mexico State, and given the fact that these are some of the most high-profile athletic events that we have in our state, it's fair to ask about the state funding that can come through to help these facilities. Yeah, University Stadium, Memorial Stadium, Las Cruces, they can use upgrades. And if you're going to have Division I athletics, these universities are going to continue to push for that. And I think the state should think about investing in that. We're seeing now with New Mexico United, a USL championship team, the back and forth of the last few years when they put it on the ballot and the city voted it down in terms of the amount of public money coming because it didn't quite work. And now they've been able to go their route where they have their private funding. City Council voted to continue the proposal to move forward with New Mexico United building a stadium out at Balloon Fiesta Park. Well, that also is a different conversation when you look at it university-wise and trying to have the investments in those facilities. And these are all the things that will be on the table for the next athletic director at the University of New Mexico. It's opening drive here on 95.9 FM, AM 610, The Sports Animal. JJ Buck, joined by Cy Riley. He just wrapped up playing 4 years linebacker at the University of Mexico. So all the things we've been talking about, he's lived it. When we're talking about depth charts and schemes and playing and transfer portal and name, image, and likeness, he's been able to give us great insight on all of this. But, as student athlete, you came from California to play for the Lobos, and you spent 4 years at the University of New Mexico. How did you feel about the facilities, the investment, the things that they were trying to do for you as an athlete? And then, when you traveled around the Mountain West Conference and then seeing what your competitors were doing with football.
Yeah, my freshman year was during COVID, so we didn't even get access to the building like that until after we returned.
So you committed, right? And then you're like, I'm going to go see what New Mexico is all about. And then you're in Nevada for you.
Yeah, didn't even visit.
You played 3 years in New Mexico, but
yeah, I played a year for the Las Vegas Lobos. But no, it's one of those things where it's just like I didn't get to see it. But when I was able to get into the locker room again, compared to my high school, it was like, oh, this is dope. This is awesome. I do feel like we have the best in-state facilities. Better than NMSU, better than UTEP, even though that's technically Texas, but sometimes people still claim New Mexico. So yeah, I feel like we're better there in that department. But again, when I'm traveling, I still think to this day Utah State has the best facilities, just because the visitors locker room was amazing. Obviously the football stadium is amazing. Boise gives them a run for their money, but I put Boise as 2. Utah State, they have the background with the backdrop with the mountains. It was always cold, and we always seemed to play them post Thanksgiving. So it was just one of those things where, yeah, your competitors, they have nice things, but again, when we got to New Mexico Mutual Training Center, that was dope. Again, with the lights, with the racks, the actual weight room itself, the zero to gravity treadmill, things like that. So it's nice to be able to compete in those in that aspect. But again, there's always room for improvement.
Hey, you mentioned so I've seen the one football facility I've been in is Boise State. I actually called a game there with Robert Portnoy a few years back, so I've been on that trip. I've seen all the basketball facilities working with women basketball, but I've been on these campuses. I see what you're saying. Like Logan, the backdrop is definitely one of those places. Being in the Valley, you're like, wow. Like I'm good with there being a few days. I don't know if I could spend years there in Logan, Utah, because you're right. It's one of those places that it's always cold. Did you have, in your time, the conference schedule rotates. You understand that. You mentioned the facilities, but was there a place that you liked playing the most, and then also a place you're just like, man, this is just, whether it's the team, the weather, it's always like, this is this one that I don't want to go on this trip?
I liked playing the most at Wyoming.
Wyoming, okay.
And what's crazy? Oh man, see now the memories are starting to flash back. What's crazy is obviously when we went up there my sophomore year. We beat them. I think the score was 14-3 or something like that. Just a very, defensive led game. And then when we went up there this past year, again, with this revamped offense, I thought I was ready for the altitude and, the sun, but yeah, it kind of got me. I had 2 missed sacks, like literally quarterback in my hands. And what's crazy is the quarterback was the old quarterback for Utah State. So it's yeah.
He's actually getting some run with the Jets. It's pretty cool.
Really? Okay, see? Easily. Yeah, if you could slip through my hands, you deserve some run. So yeah, that was my favorite stadium to play at. Again, I think it was just something in the air, like the pop. I love the first thing that I always say about Wyoming is you'll instantly smell popcorn, kettle corn popcorn in the air, and it always is like, it doesn't make me hungry, but it's like, yeah, this is the game day that I want to, be a part of. And then one stadium that I hated playing at, even though I beat them twice, was Fresno State, because they had that long ramp, up and down. And the first time, we went up there, they routed us, but my legs just weren't ready for the ramp. So, this past year when we went up there, I'm doing Stairmaster the week before, doing a lot of calf strength. Ramp, man. Yeah, we should have, just because I knew, I didn't want my legs to be dead, and sure enough, my legs weren't dead. I did, mess up my ankle pretty bad the first series, but it was one of those things where it's like, man, I was prepared, and I have fun playing in California. I love playing in California in front of my family. My girlfriend showed up, so that was dope.
505-246-0610. Jeffrey, you're on the opening drive. What's going on, Jeffrey?
Hey, what I'd like to see addressed as far as facilities, specifically the pit, and I don't know why this doesn't merit more conversation, but apparently it's an iconic building. I believe it is for basketball, but yet it can't infrastructurally host or be eligible to host NCAA games. And that to me is astounding when that, amelioration project took place about 10 years ago, that wasn't part of the calculation to make the pit eligible to host NCAA games. Not only does that give the pit and the Lobos and the state a lot of recognition when those games are televised, but the influx of monies is also another obvious benefit. The point is, I'd like to see more discussion around making the Pit eligible to host NCAA games.
I'm right there with you, Jeffrey. I think that was one of the biggest misses of the revamp of the Pit is, the size changing of the courts. And that's what we've been told is, the NCAA, instead of using the courts we've seen, I forget when it happened, they bring in their own courts, and they're saying their courts were a little bit too big for the Pit. Like, this is a venue that should be in conversations to host first and second round NCAA tournament games. We know you're never going to see a Final Four again. You have those memories, Houston, the Pit, all those things, because those are going to football stadium now. But in terms of hosting first and second round games, that's a swing and a miss right now for the Pit, and also summer events because of if you had the fight card in the Pit over the summer, which we saw at Tingley, mixed martial arts events, other concerts that might be not maybe a little bit smaller. I don't know how, just all those things in the summer months. Yeah, it's opportunity missed for the Pit, but it's fair if we're asking about the football stadiums, then yes, the Pit and the Pan American Center are in that as well. 505-246-0610, Sports Animal Hotline and text line. It is the opening drive here on 95.9 FM, AM 610, the Sports Animal.
This is Boomer.
We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible.
Young driver, this one. Hard to get her out. She'd been drinking. This one. Both of them gone. They'd been drinking, and he drove clear off the road. This was my family. Drunk driver hit us. And my wife and our daughter, they didn't make it.
For your business or your home, Valley Fence stands alone. We're number one in New Mexico for a reason. It's the best fence you can own. Proudly serving New Mexico for over 50 years. At Valley Fence, the difference is clear. No fence too big, too small, or difficult. We handle them all at Valley Fence Company.
We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible.
We aren't all born with the same opportunities. But it's the people who care that change everything.
Get ready, Sprout, get ready.
My coach, my teacher, my older sisters, my grandma, my brother, my tutor, my dad, and my mom.
As New Mexicans, it's up to all of us to do our part.
So that no child goes without love.
And no family has to do it all on their own.
They're all our children. Every single person is called to make a difference in the life of a child.
It's up to all of us to do our part.
To pull together.
Pull together.
Pull together.
To make New Mexico the best place to be a kid.
What's going on, Lobo Nation? Ja'Cory Krosky-Miller here.
And I'm Devin Dampier. The Lobo football team is going through some changes, but we're here to stay.
We'll put in the work on the field and in the weight room, but we'll need your help off the field.
505 Sports Venture is leading the charge in the NIL space.
And you can be part of it.
Shorty, she better than all my intentions. Locked in, shorty, you got my attention. CEO, baby, I get you the business. Touchdown and pay you a visit.
Young driver, this one. Hard to get her out. She'd been drinking. This one. Both of them gone. They'd been drinking, and he drove clear off the road. This was my family. Drunk driver hit us. And my wife and our daughter, they didn't make it.
I was born in New Mexico. I grew up on these streets. I got in trouble here,
and I fought my way back in boot camp. I love New Mexico, especially the people. Now I'm using my training, tenacity, and energy to fight for you. I'm Adam Oki, lawyer, fighter, and New Mexican. I was a local athlete here in New Mexico, so I'm proud to support your local athletes.
We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible. Evergard Roofing and Solar. For nearly 20 years, Evergard Roofing and Solar has been working with New Mexicans to enhance their homes and businesses. For all your roofing and solar needs in New Mexico, call 505-821-9543.
Hey, look! It's Dwight Goodman!
Boom! This place is hot. Let's see if anyone needs my help. How about I drive you madman home, huh?
I got this, Dwight. I'm the designated driver. Boom.
Sweet. Does anyone need Dwight's help getting home tonight?
No thanks, Romeo. I've got a taxi all lined up.
Drive safe, Dwight. Boom! Boom!
Albuquerque's leader in sports is Pro View.
In studio, Adrian on Pro View Networks. All right, guys, this is our last opportunity this week to talk with you on the opening drive. I'm a busy man, so I appreciate the time. Saturday, Lobos take the field. First game under Bronco Mendenhall. 10.5-point underdogs. I know that doesn't matter in the locker room as you're walking out to the field, but that's it's part of the storyline this week for Lobo fans getting ready to that game. First off, what do you want to see from this team on Saturday?
Physicality and, the guys having fun. I want to see a very physical defensive front. I don't want their run game to get going too much. I want our DBs to be tested, but that's the defensive side of me. And then I also want to see Lobo Nation show up. I want to see them pack the stadium as much as possible. Yes, I know we haven't had our success as a football team over the past several years. But again, this is supposed to be a new era, and we have a new head coach, new offensive coordinator, new special teams coach, new defensive coordinator, 60 new transfers. It's entirely different Lobo team. So, and you're not going to see them for a month. So I really would want Lobo Nation to show up, send them off to Arizona and Auburn the right way, and then, catch them back when it comes to Fresno State.
That's a really good point is, this is the one time to, if you're a fan, just be hyped. Like, just have the honeymoon moment. Like, go all in week one. I get it. It's freaking summer. Yeah, it's going to be hot. Put on some sunscreen, see what shades you can find, drink a gallon of water before you walk in the stadium. But this is like the one moment, and just to throw it all out there, get hyped, go in, have your honeymoon moment, because you guys didn't get that. And I do think that was something that affected the fan base. Yes, we were all going through it in 2020. Every one of us was affected in some way, whether it was work, family, with the COVID pandemic. But in terms of a honeymoon moment, Danny Gonzalez didn't get that, because the first time he was able to walk on the field with you guys at, in year 2 for you and him, there was already some sour taste of, all right, team is struggling again. Yeah, they won those 2 games at the end of last season, but those butts showed up again. Now this is that moment. Like, you guys missed out on that, of having that boom, new coach, new feeling, here we go. And I think you make a good point, man. This is the one time we can worry about records, all that other stuff post-game. But fill the stadium. This is kind of one of those things where you can tell a fan how to be a fan a little bit. Like, it's game 1, year 1, Bronco Mendenhall. Go in, and then we'll see what happens.
Yeah. And, I know Montana State right now, they're 10.5, point favorites, but, they got some issues that they're dealing with too that, I guess ESPN or whoever, the money, casinos, sports books, they're not paying attention to. and they're going to be vulnerable. You know, they're going to be. I might as well just, JT Reed. He's supposed to be the starting left guard. You know, he's dealing with some hand issues. Cole saying he's soft tissue injury. Both of those guys haven't had much of a fall camp, but they're supposed to be projected starters. You know, those are two guys that you can go out, attack right off the bat. Tight end Cedric Burke, Connor. Those are sophomores, redshirt freshmen and sophomores. Don't have a lot of experience. So again, going back to the battle that I've been talking about, it's going to be looks like a very inexperienced offensive line versus a very experienced and physical defensive Lobo front. So, if we can get that matchup going, pack the stadium, get loud on third downs, let Devin in the offense, just do what they do. Devin's probably I expect him to have over 250 yards passing and 80 yards rushing by himself. So yeah, it's going to be just scramble plays. Like this is about to be so much fun. I'm glad it's on FS1.
He's excited for local football on Saturday, and he should be. It is the time where you can have that cautious optimism come to life, be hopeful. Game 1, year 1 of Bronco Mendenhall, and then take a step back as a fan and see what kind of expectations this team can set for you this season. But Cy, always appreciate the time. A pleasure. Continue to grow and kill it at this, man. Appreciate it.
No, I appreciate you, JJ, always giving me the opportunity and reaching out, man.
That's Cy Riley. We got Bobcat. Thank you. Coming in, producer, man. Always
you are welcome.
Thanks, Bob.
Adrian on ProView Network. We got the Jim Rome Show coming up next. Colin Cowherd at 1. 2 men on. We'll take you up to Lobo Talk at 6 o'clock with Robert Portnoy and Bronco Mendenhall. Isotopes over on the pit. Everybody, Meta World Peace and Love. Have a great day.
We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible.
Albuquerque's leader in sports is ProView. From pros to prep, all your favorite action. All your favorite talk shows. Find it on ProView Networks. Don't sacrifice quality and flavor when you're in a hurry. Golden Pride offers ribs, fried chicken, red and green chili breakfast burritos, and Frontier sweet rolls. 4 great locations, or visit us online at goldenprideabq.com. Golden Pride Barbecue Chicken and Ribs are proud supporters of ProView Sports.
Hi, my name is Daniel Chavez, and this is my business partner, David Chavez. We are the owners of Indeed Safety. Indeed Safety is a local safety consulting company helping our clients with their safety needs for their projects.
One of the things we pride ourselves as a construction safety company is helping our men and women in construction get home safe every day to their families. Indeed Safety is a proud supporter of ProView Network.
We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible. Everguard Roofing and Solar. For nearly 20 years, Everguard Roofing and Solar has been working with New Mexicans to enhance their homes and businesses. For all your roofing and solar needs in New Mexico, call 505-821-9543.
Young driver, this one. Hard to get her out. She'd been drinking. This one. Both of them gone. They'd been drinking, and he drove clear off the road. This was my family. Drunk driver hit us. And my wife and our daughter, they didn't make it.
going on, Lobo Nation? Ja'Cory Krosky-Miller here.
And I'm Devin Dampier. The Lobo football team is going through some changes, but we're here to stay.
We'll put in the work on the field and in the weight room, but we'll need your help off the field.
505 Sports Venture is leading the charge in the NIL space.
And you can be part of it.
Shorty, she better than all my intentions. Locked in, shorty, you got my attention. See your baby, I get you the business. Touchdown and pay you a visit.